Who's in charge of y'all? In charge of us? Somebody got to call a meeting. Oh.
Yeah.
Rose. Oh, yeah. Rose.
So do you have this one picked up right already?
Can you grab it?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're recording. Yep.
Sure.
Oh, we're recording it?
Yes. Nice.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order on the joint city council and planning board workshop session. We didn't have a meeting. Or, any comments from the public? No comments? I didn't have anyone sign up. Nobody's saying it. All right, just go to item number 4. Items for discussion. The 2026 comprehensive plan and zoning with representatives from Baxter and Goodman. Jody?
Okay, let me start it off. We've got Kristen and Brianna with us tonight with Baxter and Goodman. Goodman, I'm sorry. This is supposed to be from South and it's not working. So shut it off, I guess. All right, he's still here. Go. Okay, in the packet that we handed out, I think Kristen's going to go over a little bit of that, but that is where we're at so far as the final report. It's a draft of, towards the final report. That is the Appendix A in Chapter 1. This information has been given some time ago to the planning board. The planning board's worked on it a couple meetings. And so we just made hard copies for everybody. These are not for you to go throw in the trash after the meeting. You can keep them here for tonight and pick them up again tomorrow, but they're for you to take some time over the next couple weeks or so and make some notes and comments on what's been done so far. I'll confess, I've had it for a while, and I know that I've got some comments to make that I found as I went through it, and I had not had a chance to do that. Basically on some of the history that was recorded. I know some of it is not correct. Okay. And you want to make sure we get that right.
Yes.
And I just haven't had a chance to do that. But, I want everybody looking at it, just not me and just not Derek, to more eyes on it, the better the product we're going to have. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kristen to kind of walk us through trying to share bring council in on the loop on some of the things that we've talked with the planning board. And then I think tonight we're talking primarily about land use. And then tomorrow we'll get into the zoning, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Hey, get away.
Yeah, so how do you want to do the?
You just tell me. I'm going to share this.
Okay.
There.
So I don't know if it's best to stand up. I feel like I'm very formal if I stand up, but can y'all hear me if I sit? Is that okay? Or whatever format works for y'all. I can walk around the room or sit, whichever one. Is there anything people prefer?
Take a seat.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to walk you through this. For some of you I haven't met. Hi, I'm Kristen Imshoff. I run a planning team for Baxter and Goodman. And for those of you who worked a lot with Aaron was, my right hand for a while, and we overworked him and got too many projects on his plate. So we had to have a hard discussion, kind of shift him to other stuff because I overwhelmed him. And he's a great planner for us, but that was not part of our, of the discussion of bringing a staff member on. So we talked about it and I've come on staff. So Brianna and I have been working on it in the background, but we just haven't been at the meetings and stuff. So I'm super excited to be here. And I just wanted to mention that to y'all so you're aware that we have made a small change with our staff. So next, So the purpose of today, I actually want to do kind of an introduction with the group here. And I want to ask like an icebreaker question for y'all. And then we'll break into schedule. Jody kind of talked about that a little bit, but I'll briefly talk about where we're at and kind of where we're going. And then we'll jump into community character. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. Some of these concepts can be very technical and thorough. And so I'm going to try to give y'all an example of how we came up with future land use and zoning, but very much focusing tonight on future land use. So we're going to do exercises tonight that take us through that exercise. And then what we do today, we'll incorporate into tomorrow. So I want to make sure they're super split. Today, we are focusing on the future land use, and I'll walk y'all through what that is, what it means. What are we doing? Like, what's the purpose of planners? Like, what do these people do, right? And then we'll walk you through, of course, like how to use it and stuff too. And so that's kind of the dot exercise. I want to make sure that all of the planning and zoning members and council that are part of this meeting have red and green dots. Is there anybody that's missing? Or if you're sitting in the audience and you're planning and zoning and council, I need you up here. So okay.
I think everybody that's
Everybody have
currently
them?
on.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So we're going to do an exercise, and I just want to make sure you have the right materials. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So the first thing I want to do, part of us creating land uses is to understand what land uses you enjoy, right? So what do I mean by land uses? I mean residential, commercial, parks. I want to know if there's, industrial, if there's anything in town that you really enjoy. I'm trying to extract that from you and make sure that, of course, we include that in part of our plan. So I want to go through the room and kind of walk through that. I'll go first, kind of the guinea pig. I'm Kristen Emshoff. Of course, my role is, of course, working with you guys to create a comprehensive plan and also, lead the charge for zoning. Where is my favorite place? I have to admit that downtown is my favorite. I feel like there's a lot of like beauty here. So much opportunity and it's so exciting. And so it's kind of hard for me to pick a lot. But I definitely enjoy the movie theater. I definitely enjoy your hotel. I saw plenty of places on the water that I wanted to move into. And so I feel like there's a lot of opportunity around here in town. So it's kind of hard for me to pick one. But I'm going to go ahead and can I go to you, Jody?
Yeah.
Next.
Jody Weaver, I'm the city manager with City of Port Lavaca. And I'm kind of helping ramrod this thing with Derek as my right hand person, so to speak. And my favorite spot in Port Lavaca, it's really a tough one, but if I had to pick a favorite, I would say the Bayfront.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel.
I have to agree with the Bayfront. I think that it's right next to the water, and the water attracts a lot of people. So
Okay.
That would be a priority.
And you are? Who are you?
I'm Daniel Aguirre, District 1, City Councilman.
All right, I'm Rosabeth Stewart, City Council, and I like the bayfront. I like the water. I like the paths, walking paths and running paths.
I'm Justin Burke, City Council District 6, and I would say Lighthouse Beach is probably my favorite place because you see me walking out there or just enjoying the beach with the family.
I'm Rosie Padron, I'm City Council. I don't really have a favorite place. I just like Port Lavaca. It's my paradise. It's just, when I moved here when I was, I don't know. I decided to travel with my dad being in the Air Force. We traveled all over the world. And I just decided, I didn't decide, I think the town decided for me when I moved here in the 8th grade. This was my place. This was my place. So I just like the whole town. And we moved here from Austin. So that was the last trip.
So Tim Den, I'm on city council as well. I don't know, I guess I kind of like the city park. I just like the boats and stuff. So I wish it was a little more attractive, but that's something that we work on, but just calm, sort of a little bit harder.
Steve Butler. I've been here all my life. I just I just left here and left my front door. What can you go do that at? So I just love that quietness. I love quarterbacks.
Yeah. Justin Weaver, planning board chairman. This is a tough one. I've got memories all up and down Fort Lavaca, good and bad. But again, it's probably this Bayfront Peninsula. I've got a lot of good stories with a lot of good people and a lot of good times down there. That little chunk means a lot to me. It's always good to see it grow or improve.
I'm Lindy Kane. I moved here with the Air Force in the 5th grade. And I'm on the planning board, and my favorite place in Fort Lavaca is my backyard. My backyard is right down the way. You can see the bayfront from my backyard on South Guadalupe Bay Street. And I just sit out and drink coffee and look at the bay. I can't wait for them to have that bird sanctuary too. It's right off my backyard.
Sophia Escalera on the planning board. I guess I agree with y'all, the bayfront. I guess that's one of my favorite spots.
Derek Smith, Development Services for the city. Anywhere there's water. I just enjoy down here.
Sounds good. All right, so we're gonna move on to our next.
I'm trying to get
No, it's okay.
this back.
I like that closely.
Yeah.
It's usually me because I don't wear my glasses. Like a whole.
I gotta get back to the, why isn't it? Please stop sharing and. Yeah. Got scooted over somehow. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that.
Oh, yes. Okay, so here is our deliverable. So like Jody mentioned, we reshared our existing conditions and our like kind of plan directions and assumptions. Those are the two documents that were sent out. Right now, they're very draft, right? And so the whole point of a comprehensive plan is to go through the process of getting feedback. And so we want to make sure we're on track. The fact that we're not with history, we need to address it, right? And so we want to make sure if there's anything in there that is problematic or maybe we haven't hit quite right, we need to make sure we get that correct. And then currently right now, we're around 50% with what we call our future city phase. So this is where we take kind of like our existing conditions, like demographics. We're looking at, are we growing? Are we shrinking? What are we doing as a community? Who are we? What's the history, the culture, things like that. The future city phase is where we take that information, we turn it into recommendations. And so we're starting that process now. Technically, we have 8 goals. Those are land use, transportation, parks, trails, all of that. We've kind of drafted it up. But in order for us to get to a space that we're going to share the next set with you, we want to make sure that we have the first set right. And so that's kind of where we're at. And then all of that information gets put sort of in the second part of our document, if you will. And so we'll repackage it again and share it before our open house. And at the open house, that's when we'll, of course, like go into detail and things to the public. So at some point, we'll have another meeting like this where we go through the report. So that today we're not going through the Appendix A or Chapter 1. We'll do that at a future date. But we do want you to take a look at it and get your, marker out. Let us know if we missed something. We want to know. We'll make sure we get it right. And then we'll go through the process of, of course, repairing it or however you want to drafting it, making sure that the language is correct. And then phase 4 on the right there, we'll start into that right before the open house as well. So we'll have all of that before we go to the open house, and then we'll share it with the public to make sure we got it right. And then that report gets kind of finalized. So that kind of gives you an idea. Open house is anticipated for probably, I think our schedule shows June, but we haven't nailed down any dates yet.
Yeah.
So we're still kind of on track with that. So I just wanted to let you know. So now let me back up a little bit. The purpose of a comprehensive plan for a city is it's essentially your playbook, right? We're giving you a document at the end of the day. So once we get through that whole process, right, we go to the public, we've got the plan correct, it goes for adoption, right? And then what happens? Like, what is this thing? What do we do with it? Well, a comprehensive plan, what we're trying to address are any kind of challenges that you have in the community. So some of the big ones that we usually hear are, hey, we might have flooding issues where we need to change our drainage standards, or we need to look at infrastructure, right? Down here on the bottom right, definitely there's usually some expenditures and stuff that might be part of like your infrastructure. So your water, your sanitary. We're looking at all of these items, your roadways, to make sure that as we grow, that we have the right roads and infrastructure in place so that we grow in the way that Port Lavaca wants. Maybe there's new home developments you love or don't. And then we also address kind of some of the tough conversations. So that top left picture, that's actually a site that we'll talk about probably later. But that is actually a facility that happens to be heavy industrial, and it also happens to be a place where there is open storage outside, and sometimes those are tricky topics. So sometimes people don't want to see that from the road, so that's something we'll talk about. And then so sort of unsightly developments that we believe as a community are unsightly, and then it's a conversation too on kind of like tax base and stuff. And so essentially what we're trying to do is take you through the hard conversations so that we're very aware of how Port Lavaca wants to spend like future funding, development, and put things in the right perspective. And then at the end of the day, when you have that document in hand, we end up with this huge matrix that talks about like who within the city is kind of handling what and the timelines. So it pulls that Planning and Zoning Council, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the council together so that there's a unified plan between both. And then you're welcome, Planning and Zoning, you're the one that actually inherits the comprehensive plan. So each year when staff goes through and, looks at this thing, it becomes your baby, and you're the one that works with staff, with Derek to like walk through this thing. Hey, what's working, what's not working. And then of course it comes through the budget process and all kinds of things to go before council. And so it's a document that helps communicate across, kind of across the lines, if you will. So comprehensive. So in Texas, in the state of Texas, what state law says is that essentially the state recommends that you create a comprehensive plan, right? And it has all these different chapters that it wants you to put in there. So it wants you to address land use and transportation and public facilities like police and fire. It wants to make sure that, of course, you're looking at your 5-minute service ring, you're hitting things like that. It definitely talks about how you can have, a single plan or a set of plans. In this case, your plan is actually one, and then it definitely needs to guide recommendations, right? Notice how it says guide. It doesn't say that they are rules and regulations that are law. It says guidance. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. And then once you have your comprehensive plan adopted, this is the strategic planning model that we always recommend. So assuming it's adopted, these are the items that both planning and zoning and, the city council can expect in the future. So the budgets are based off of it. Like if we're writing department services plans where we're getting a little bit more granular on maybe like hiring or shifting priorities, that's where things like that can go into play. It can lead into things like, of course, your fiscal forecast if you're doing future bond programs and things like this. But it is the main document that essentially keeps everything at the city kind of running forward. And if we get specialty plans like parks plans, they need to be in compliance with that comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan guides everyday decisions at the staff level and even at the board level as well. And then I'm going to talk about this briefly, but I don't want to go too technical. I don't want to get left, right? I want to make sure we're on topic. So when we create future land use plans for the city, we look at the character of the city. And what does that mean? Like, what do we mean by character? We mean that whenever you drive through Port Lavaca, there's going to be certain areas that you're thinking, hey, the Bayfront area, that's one of my favorite places. So what's the character of that? Well, it's got water. It has maybe walking paths, it has trees and things like that. So maybe that's like one character area, right? Or maybe you go across town and you have some new developments where you've got, new homes going in. That's a different character than say the existing neighborhoods, right? And so we drew these here on the map on the right here to kind of guide, what character areas are and what to show it for tier 2. But the whole point is to show kind of scale. Do we want to have, and here in the presentation, the bottom right picture, that is more what we would call an auto-oriented development where you absolutely have to have a car to drive in and out of it. But if you look on the left side, that can be the same development, but kind of at a smaller scale where it's a neighborhood level. And so we're trying to figure out is sort of how big or small do you want to be? Do you want to be more of a neighborhood level, or do you want to of course, be more of a kind of a higher scale area. And those will address like walkability and things like that can also like affect placemaking in the city. And so we kind of walk through an exercise like that. And I don't want to get too granular into the density and all that, but I just want to show you that we attempted to go through Port Lavaca and figure out like where those zones are. And then they also influence our future land use plan. So we've taken a lot of pictures and photos, and we've also identified places in town that we think are possibly neighborhood restoration, where there might be good neighborhoods that would be good for investment. And then we've also looked at places that, we might want to just keep as is, like don't change the character at all, keep it exactly where it's at. And so those are the conversations that we're trying to have today with you, trying to identify what that looks like. So as we go forward, this is the map I was talking about here on the right. And I know it's a little hard to tell up here, but we've gone through in kind of some detail. And down here, the character district, we've looked at the waterfront district. We think there's definitely a downtown district that are, around here. Neighborhood conservation are the areas that we definitely want to make sure that this is like where Port Lavaca started. And we want to keep this, like, we don't want to change the lot size. We don't want to change the character in terms of like size. We don't want to come in and have maybe like big mansions and like just totally push down what's there. And then there are also some areas like rural residential, where the areas in town that are, undeveloped, we want to keep some of that intact as well. Multifamily as well. Of course, you've got your manufactured home parks and things like that in there. You've also got what we call your missing middle housing, where those are the areas that we'll probably want to try and encourage like more developments. And then you've also got, your, like I just mentioned, your neighborhood restoration. These might be the areas that we actually want to change the use, or we might want to pivot into more of a redevelopment zone. So there might be some areas in town like that. And then of course, industry and business park will go into detail as well. But it kind of shows you what we're trying to create. But again, this is just a guidance map. So we're trying to say these are the areas that have really great character that we're trying to capture within an area, and then it influences your future land use. So as we go to the land use, so the land use map here is on the right. It's also on the screen. This is the map that we are saying. So when a developer comes to the city and says, hey, I want to build retail and commercial, this should be the map that we're guiding them towards, right? So in this case, the red areas on the map would be the ones that we're guiding to based off of, of course, looking at like our capacity, like our water, sanitary, things like that, all of our systems. But it's also areas that are identified where we're wanting to grow. So this is going to be one of the key things at the staff level that highlights where that specific designated, land use is per parcel. This is not something that is law, right? This is just a guidance document in terms of when we developed it. These are the things that we take into consideration. So as planners, we're definitely looking at character. We're looking at the location of them. Is this location along, say, like a highly traveled roadway? Hey, how would truck traffic move around in these things? We're thinking about things like that. We're also thinking of location of, say, water and sanitary facilities that might actually impact, the operations of the day-to-day. And then we're trying to essentially identify where those like prime real estate, such as the Bayfront area, here along the water, we know this is a very high area. And so we're trying to identify what developments specifically go in there and how do we kind of increase that tax base, right? So this land use map that we put together is draft, but it is something that we're going to walk through here in a minute. We're going to test our theory to see your thoughts on the land uses that we have. And so we're going to do an exercise here in a minute that, kind of goes into detail with that. And then here are the land use designations that we actually have on the map. And so we can go through these in, more detail, but we're going to break them down that kind of like topic. And have you like, put a dot on the map on if you think it's a good place or not a good place. Okay, so now I want to make sure that, I've covered a lot of content. So is there any questions so far? Confuse anyone? So we're good. Okay. So what I want to do next, so this is where the green and the red dots come in, and we're going to pull up an exercise where we go through, I want to say it's something like 30 pictures, and we're going to ask your thoughts on it, and we want you to capture it on a map. So I think what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna split y'all in two groups. I think that might be the best way to do it. So I'm gonna give like this group over here a map, or do you wanna like number like 1, 2, 1, 2 and have them sit?
It
How do you wanna do this?
doesn't
Okay.
matter to me.
So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna split the room in half, and I'm gonna give this side of the room one map, and I'm gonna give this side another map, and then we're gonna go through the exercise. So let me grab one of these for y'all. And then y'all get to do a dot exercise. It's gonna be so much fun. In my opinion. Yeah, it looks like y'all get to do the shot, okay? This is y'all's map, yep. We're gonna split the room. Okay. Sure.
Correct.
Yes, okay, so here's our exercise. So for everybody has a red dot or a green dot. And I'm gonna walk you through what the land use is, and then I want you to take your sticky. And notice how it has a number beside it, right? So what we're gonna do for number 1, I want you to walk through here and put like down if you think that it's a good location or it's not a good location. For each land use. So what I'm asking is, residential or rural undeveloped, there might be something on the map that you think is a good location for rural or redeveloped, to keep it. And so I want you to put your green dot on there. And then I want you to put on the map for a red dot on the one that you're saying, we don't ever want rural urban or rural undeveloped here. And what that means is an example of what rural undeveloped is in Port Lavaca happens to be these areas where we have the agricultural cropland. And so I want you to say, yes, we like it with green, or no, we don't like it with red to specific areas on the map. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
I think we got it.
Okay.
I don't know about Group B over there.
Yeah.
Group A has got it.
Group A's got it. Okay, but I want everybody to weigh in. So we want to have
Undeveloped agricultural property.
And then we're gonna look at our rural and developed land and see if we like it or not. So rural and developed, so that's this prime one being Lighthouse Beach.
That has all those.
Everybody. So everybody got a problem with that? Okay, if you have a problem with Lighthouse Beach being rural and developed, we're going to have that.
That's parts of open space. It's not their open space.
I know, man.
This is-
I'm colorblind. This looks like parts of open space. This looks like rural and developed.
Yeah.
You guys want to see development here?
rural undeveloped.
Oh,
That's part.
Yeah.
That is part.
Yeah, the rural and developed is gonna be like,
I see.
yeah.
So that's the lighter side.
How many do we?
Yeah.
Figures like, if we want to develop, how many we choose?
Everybody has to put a stick with just one.
Yeah, if you put, it would be helpful if all of y'all put a sticker, but we want to make sure we don't have overlap. So as long as the group agrees, it's fine.
The developed green.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just what they don't see.
Part of me is wondering if this one's better.
That one's the zoning map.
You do not want to develop.
Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide for their exercise. Which map is better.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do we know which number is which thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So technically, I have a list.
Okay.
I didn't want to give this to y'all, but I felt like I'll give it.
I know they work.
But
I've seen that before.
it's just one.
So rural undeveloped is one.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a ledger, so I'm not sure where to put ones.
I know.
gonna
So
let you know that
basically,
all
we're
night.
trying to-
Is there anywhere that we don't want to see that?
So very good. Consider rural and developed for here.
But we could make the same.
Okay, that's good.
No, that's, yeah, parts are.
Yeah, so these are characters. So I'm pushing y'all a little harder than I'm pushing.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you are gonna be responsible for
Yeah,
number
this is all right.
direction, so
This is, here's for the first thing, so that ain't just, this is the bayou house, the water, so this is all that bayou land. Like behind the water. So that's. Yeah, this is like Monterey, right here.
Oh, yeah.
You got waters. Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
That's the-
Yes.
So I think that's.
And then you read the other
Right, all this is under those rules, but I was just looking at the inside of the city house.
Yeah, how many of those people are reading about it? There's.
Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put an okay with the limit less than near the city's infrastructure.
Okay, so we're just doing.
So now we'll have minutes.
Okay.
So then I see the other person don't look except the cemetery.
So all over town, you get those dots.
And then,
Okay.
yeah, then
Yeah.
the Wilson
So
Park.
really, at the end of the day,
Right. And then one nice one party. They are, and all this guy, the Harper, Fred, sorry, all out around the loop.
so at the end of the day, the areas in which y'all have a different map. But
Development.
at the end of the day, our areas outside the city. So we don't have any- we don't have agriculture. Yeah. So like the map is there.
Or is it a green?
Yeah,
Or there?
in our.
Or there.
So it's good for us to get.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to get at, it's like simply. Yeah,
So the picture you showed was just this area, but we can actually see the whole.
yeah, so when you look on your legend, you see how the legend has rural.
No, that's
area.
Within the city limit, which is.
This is lighting.
And the industrial lighting district.
So this is
No,
lighting.
you can go out.
So we have kind of a buffer there, you know, people.
So the city has more control of it, and the city would continue to be in it.
And.
But that is a great overview. Right. At the end of the day, when you go through these zoning control.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
All right.
But the city limits
Yeah, that's a good point though. So you don't want to kind of, it's a harbor and a house, right? But do we want all of it? Green.
Like here.
This is.
All of this.
Yeah.
Well, that has to be, let me talk about this.
Well, like, I mean, like that might be this.
This may be an area for us.
Yeah, because you guys, this is redfish.
School.
This is redfish, this is housing, this is a trailer park. It's an undeveloped.
So that's what this.
It's good. Yeah.
Great. That's it.
See this area right here? When they showed us that.
Yeah.
map,
We need.
you remember everything? They did that. No, this is all
All right, that's great. That's fine.
So you can figure out, you know,
2.8. I don't know.
Essentially, we can put this on back on here. It's in our link.
Big Bill did not do it, but it should be on the email, it doesn't have there, I guess. Okay. Both the.
Oh, look.
Yes, sir.
Yes, all of this.
Is it what
That's
you said
19.
before?
We have so many more notes. That's like.
Is it in this?
They actually got them from the.
I don't think it's on that one.
Yes.
Let me,
So yeah, it doesn't matter.
let's see how we're.
That's.
It's just, I mean, if you're gonna do it, but somebody else wants to do it, because I have to give up my paper, because I don't have another,
Yes.
which I can do, I can.
I can plug in, oh no.
That's coming down.
Yeah, right.
Or we can,
Oh,
look at, I can take it off of here,
You
you can show them, I just don't have.
Yeah, I'll do that.
There we go, so.
Okay, so we've got This is going. I got all this.
Otherwise I got my hot spot.
Yeah, use,
Does anybody have their phone?
oh, right, it's gonna-
So do we want to?
Outside that black part,
Do we want to see?
Oh.
Do you want one lane? When you're driving in Fort Lyman, you want to see green.
That industrial park. Chamber Park and all that.
There you go.
So.
So where the station, the fairgrounds are.
But weren't they gonna
Everything
do
inside
that
this.
here,
community,
what
like,
if I
state
could go
development
they
commission
do
wanted to,
something over there by?
manufacturing this part, house part, neighborhoods. Right here. So that area.
Yeah.
So do we still encourage this area to be house calls at the city? So we don't want to see a great.
I think it should be whatever it's right now, something on that road is. There's a house over there, there's another house right there.
So we're just doing the light.
Yes.
Yeah, don't jump ahead, just you are all the
Yeah.
number one.
It's one.
Yeah, so you like it green, you don't like it red. Everybody should have an opinion. And then we're gonna ask y'all what it is. All right, so like this,
We put,
You like green?
I already use a bunch of one green.
you're not supposed to do that. That is not,
One
that's
green,
bad.
like, you want to develop everything.
Oh, so that's the difference. The numbers and correspond to our like exercise.
There you go. You got one red.
So we're gonna go through.
Yeah.
Just the number one for right now.
All right.
Oh.
You only got one.
Okay, so then right here, you got.
Okay, well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, this is loaded. It's huge. Yeah.
Oh, we don't mind putting it out.
Yeah.
Is it on that thumb drive though? Is it-
With that,
You got one?
Right. Like that, that's farm.
That would be fine, yeah.
yeah, okay, that's good.
I got it.
Just because of the way the road is actually housing on that.
Best place to put it.
No, y'all are supposed to stick, so there's numbers on them, right? I'm supposed to just stick with number one.
Oh.
It's just supposed to be number one, yeah.
See, we don't know.
One. Okay, group. Yeah, so I want to know what, I'm just going to just for, you got 20. It's not that it's just, put it on there.
I would.
Yeah.
You know,
So we were. And it doesn't matter if it's water or road.
Y'all off track, come up with direction.
So then all this.
Well, we're good now. We burn up our number one speed.
That is not a potential.
Okay, we're gonna ask y'all to group.
It has to be that bottom.
Okay, so y'all have 2 more minutes.
That's.
We're about to get
So that there's a little space behind there. So if you just put a road back here, you get back towards.
And you got.
Put it like this being, put it like this being. Then yeah, but if you want to.
Still looking at all this,
There's the colors for you guys.
One is.
We'll tell you plenty of green, get all those down at.
We like this green light here.
Let me give this one back to you, Jody.
Okay. You're not inside it. Oh, yeah.
We're gonna break it down to that, right? So they can see it.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, clear,
So we don't need to know here.
So I'll.
No, we are trying to get them to focus. Like I'm joking.
It's not Teddy Park, it's City.
That's what it's called.
So we're saying.
What I was doing, you know.
And what I-
Is this gonna make a glare for you, John?
What?
Is it gonna make a glare on you?
Oh,
They talk of that.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be.
Cool. I think we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all got
That's two.
Yeah,
we have no presentation after.
Presentations.
What is this?
What is this?
Oh, yeah.
Jack that up?
No.
No.
That might be.
Okay, y'all, you have 1 minute.
Everyone.
Here's the one.
Very good. They're trying to find Jordan.
Everybody participated.
You've already added two. Alright, we got.
They're trying to find Jordan.
Jordan, can I borrow one of those pens?
Yeah. It should be in that area.
We're talking about.
Great.
Yeah, we should develop.
Okay, so this is good. Okay, y'all ready?
Yes.
Well, they're. So we'll put it. But we're just putting no for the. And is there anything you want to add?
Yes.
I'm working.
That would be an added one. Or if we, yeah, so we did this to keep creating. Like, or like, if somebody said, grassland.
Here, I was hoping that we could make.
That was why, that area. Here. Okay, so we're good.
Minutes up.
I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna go through now. So we're gonna go through collectively as a group. So this group, I want you to walk us through what you're thinking. And then we're gonna follow up by this group, and we're gonna walk you through what you're thinking. So we're gonna kind of go through both.
Cool, what do you guys got?
All right, so for the,
Oh, no, you're spilling stuff.
So for the rural undeveloped, we kind of focus on the south side here and the area behind JR. Some people wanted to see it developed because it's nice over there. It's, you know, it's close to the water. There's obviously room for a lot of development. There's really nothing out there in these spaces that are marked green.
So did you mark them all green because you want to keep it grass?
No,
No,
we want to develop.
Oh, that's
But you did it backwards.
So that should be red.
Yeah.
Red is Burl is wrong. Green is Burl is good.
It's okay, but
Yeah, and we don't necessarily have to, so this is the first exercise, we can pull sticks off, that's the whole point, right?
Cool.
So
You
at
guys
some
did it.
point, we're gonna go through all the land uses. I wanted the first one to be challenging, so that you can so sorry, y'all. Because the whole point is, what do you need and developed? Which probably is gonna be the areas outside the city limit on the fringe. Or like you guys were saying, like maybe near some facilities, like city facilities and stuff. But if you wanna redevelop that in the future, you have to red dot. So, and also to be super clear, those numbers, I know y'all can't see my exercise, but I have numbers. So like 1 is rural undeveloped, 2 is large residential, like 3 is large residential. So they're, the numbers on your like stickies match the numbers here. So that's why we're,
we have all number ones.
okay.
We got to cheat off the teacher. So.
Okay, good. Okay. So
But,
what
I mean,
areas
so
y'all
you
want
want
to
to see,
see?
to clarify, you want to see all that green space developed into something else.
Yeah, down here and then also along Henry Barber, kind of went stick crazy, but.
Gotcha.
And then we all decided, yeah, let's
Basically the same place as we have.
Is it really?
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah, so
Identical. Yeah.
I guess we'll just do the presentation by adjusting here.
Here we go.
I got it. So we got south of the school, we decided that was also a good place to develop, so we said red dot over here. And we did the same thing on both sides of Henry Barber, because we've seen some people come in and try to develop that area, and we agreed that we'd like to see more development in these two areas. We also did here on, in between the school and the dealership area, we said all that land is prime. We know that there's plans for the rodeo arenas and things like that in county, so we'd like to see that developed as well. Same thing here on the opposite side of Calhoun, in between the neighborhoods. We kind of just filled in a lot of these areas that we don't want to see the green. The only thing that we kept a green space that was marked on here was near the water treatment plant. There is a green space marked. And we all agreed that that is a good, you know, down the ditch way and keeping that green belt through town. We like that. We thought that was a good use of the land. It keeps a little bit of character into the waterway. And it also keeps people from trying to develop too close to city assets and you know, sanitary issues. And then we did the same thing up here. There's talk about the roads as well, but we said, you know, it'd be nice if we could get kind of a more, what I kind of noted was we took the city limits, and we just kind of smoothed them out with development. Instead of having all these jagged pockets of grassland kind of dipping in and out of the city infrastructure. We're curious, how can we make a more continuous exterior to our development? Where it makes sense. So you can kind of drive around the city instead of
We
just up and
kind of
down.
thought along the same lines, but we didn't.
Looks like we're, yeah, similar opinions.
Well, that's impressive. I'm very proud of y'all. Okay, so number two.
All right.
We're gonna move on.
What's
And by
number
the
two?
way, I've given y'all the same map they have, because it might be a little. You might need to compare it as with it in more granular like sites. But I'm still gonna have you mark them exposure, because I feel like it's better to have it like kind of split what we're thinking. So the second one, okay, so again, this is green. I want you to focus on 2A. So this is where I'm probably gonna get y'all a little confused. So 2A is the big house on the left, and 2B is the one on the right. They're essentially the same like house, if you will, but what I'm asking you is the large residential house. So what I'm asking is, where do we like homes like this? Note how they are large residential. They have an attached garage, which means that you pull into your garage and it's part of your house. It's not a separate structure. And so I want you to mark green where you like it, red where you do not. Each person should be doing this, right? So you should have a 2A and a 2B. They're essentially the same. It's just we have a lot of large residential, so we gave 2 people. But 2A, green we like, 2A, red we don't, and then 2AB we like, 2AB we do not. And so that's the exercise. So good.
Yeah.
So,
And an example at the top, so an example is near Smith Road, right? So if you can see it at the top, near Smith Road, and the picture 2 is Brook Hollow Estates, just to give you an idea of where they're located.
yeah. So we've got.
Yeah, both of those are Mercado Estates.
I do like Mercado.
Yeah.
The Bracala.
Okay.
All right, so red is like.
I think they
filled in
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
It's just the criteria that we have,
Me and Dan
like,
come
it
to one
depends
car.
on the here, right? These are all.
It's just the common knowledge.
That's all that we have.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're
What?
at
Water.
So you like-
Yeah.
Well, this would be
Yeah.
the oil areas.
Big ones that red.
So you put it anywhere. So whatever the red.
2A and 2B are the next
Like it or do you
Say red.
The question is.
If you like
say
it
you like
for
it,
development,
go on
yes.
and
For being out.
There's gotta be a red dot there, like, I don't want it.
Okay.
So if I see this, here, we like the houses, we'd like to see more of the rare, we said no farmland. Here. That's exactly it. Cool, I like that. Thanks for positive feedback. So I'd like to see more of this, and then this
In the
is.
Smith Road back there.
You'd like to see more of all this come out.
Yeah, so. If you look at this, the way.
Oh.
You're missing a photo now.
Yeah, right.
That big house there, yeah.
So that, so the question is, do y'all want to?
Yes.
You know, that yellow.
Right. So it's just for the art.
Yeah.
Well, in this case.
No, you gotta move
Two
it.
of the roads.
You want to run through the neighborhood.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
You don't want to,
You want big house in there.
We're asking for you.
if we start to rebuild Southside.
Yeah, that's.
So that's been talking.
Okay, y'all, how are y'all doing?
Yes.
Well, no, we want to.
So-
We'll just get one.
Not really, because you got all these on this side, all the way out to the county. No, we're not, red is good, right? Red is for the.
Oh, my God.
Okay, wait, let's walk through this. Okay, ready? So now, look. We've got. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm saying, green is good, green is y'all want in this general.
Then you would be getting.
Remember back out to eight.
We got plenty. Look, what we're trying to figure out is, you know, like, we love.
I like it.
So, you think of anything, I'm building a trail, they made a good point.
That's why you don't want to die. The point is they're not just bringing on it. Develop it anywhere. And then here.
We go, that's what we start going down.
No, we're only on the second side of what?
Travis areas.
Here it is, so 2D.
Well, it's done.
Like it, green.
Yeah. So we don't
Where do we
really
not like it?
Yes, there, we're like, you know, maybe just a little.
Okay.
Dan, let me see my.
So I'm gonna give y'all 1 minute.
You don't have to.
No. Yes, so long.
There's no room right here.
I mean, it's a full neighborhood, they're very large.
Let me put my TV out back.
Well, this is
No green.
business park, look.
Anybody have a two-way?
Oh, I just.
Oh,
saw his number off.
I got another.
Y'all got it?
Daddy, fix that. This area, right as.
Oh, you're. That's where that's the park.
It's gonna be a park now.
That's messed up.
See, 2 AM, 2 p.m.
Yeah.
It's the kitchen.
I mean, that's like.
Well, I started when y'all had the red.
What number there?
Yeah.
You gotta go down. Supposed to make a big park. I do.
There's some.
On the floor?
So then,
Yeah.
we got,
Oh.
I don't know, man, we talked about it.
Didn't know we didn't talk about that long.
Now, oh,
Yeah.
The big house.
this is the main house.
Yeah.
Those houses.
Yeah, right.
Are
They're
there?
not going, well, that's red.
We started getting smaller. I think we're starting to
Red.
get smaller.
Yes.
So I'm gonna put a green dot because we like it. And then we're gonna wait, what are the numbers?
Yeah, there's nowhere in here.
I don't know what number it is.
Okay, and then right here, this
All of this
is
is
where Tommy,
They're smaller.
they're smaller houses.
That's, yeah, this is, Tommy, Airport is smaller.
Yeah, they're like out there.
This is a moderated dot.
Okay, house. Like,
Those are tired.
This is how it looks. That is.
They were talking about the city fund there. Is that this?
Because we need people to move here.
But they
They
can
grow.
stay small.
You guys are, what you guys are saying is, I'll ask you about it. If I get things, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we're not.
I think we're ready. I think we're ready. I think at this point, I'm starting to get beat up.
Here, council, you ready?
The proper ways to do it.
We're ready.
Y'all ready?
Okay, just.
All right, so who's speaking this
Just-
thing? Okay. Who wants to go first?
Okay, I got it.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I think it came from right here.
So, for the bigger houses, kind of went on, the outside of town, I guess you could say. So north of, Bracalo Estates, down to Smith Road, all this bayfront area here. And then I put behind the high school, about halfway down back here, where it's mostly undeveloped. Where'd you put yours, Rose?
On
Redfish?
Redfish Retreat.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
land there that, and it's.
Rose, you agree with that?
So y'all, that's what you like. What did you not want? So those are the
I
red.
didn't want them.
In the middle of town, like,
Right here.
anywhere down Virginia, anywhere that's already fully developed, and there's a lot of smaller houses there.
On the south side of town. So.
Yeah, or it's not room for big houses like that.
All right, I got in trouble for going off topic.
Imagine.
I know, right? So we started at the end of town, we went down, the J. Gray Estates and all that. We said that's all where it is existing. We agree with that. We also just connected that over to the two B and Apollo. It's kind of, it comes down like a half step there. So we were saying just to connect all that, again, we're going with that same curvature and connection. We'd like to see more A, and I think, then we got down here and we said, we don't want to see a lot of the bigger stuff here, but we see, two B,
Like
Lynn Haven area, because I know Lynn Haven's getting a little bit of reclamation. There's some bigger and smaller, it's definitely like, I don't want to call it steps down and steps up, but it's kind of graduating into town, like you guys did. And then, we did note that behind the hospital is a lot of large lots, there are a lot of bigger detached garage homes there. It's an older neighborhood, we left that as it is with that character, we didn't really want to see that turn into apartments or anything like that. We left that A in there, I know it's a little closer to Virginia, but it's a very existing character, very overgrown
Yeah.
trees, the hospital, the school, the
It
church.
fits with the hospital and the church.
It fits that area. And then, we moved down into, George Street and the original township and kind of in the Bayfront area, and we had a lot of no 2AB, no 2AB, no 2AB. Want to see smaller stuff, kind of like you guys were saying, existing characters, a little bit more, smaller homes down around here. We did leave this 2A along the water toward Refuge Harbor. Those are a lot of probably some of the biggest houses in town. I don't know, I need to ask a realtor and she's busy. But,
They are.
but those are really big homes. And then we agreed, you know, the redfish retreat. And I thought I'd have to ask a realtor for sure.
Yeah.
And then of course the Mariemont and into, Alamo Heights, especially like down closer on the Jackson Street side, we get into that 2B, and then we of course have Mariemont as 2A. We say there are some undeveloped lots along with the redfish development. We didn't really tag into here. I don't think we wanted anything big by the school. We were talking about buffer zones. We kind of went off topic. I got smacked in the back of the head.
I was saving that for the threes.
And then we kind of just identified some characters here we liked. We didn't want to see 2A and 2B development in the center of town. We instead of marking it, no, we marked it. We like it there.
Yeah.
We got a little confused. Ran out of 2As, 2Bs. Started making our own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to 3. So 3, these are specifically new development. So the example we have, large residential again, detached garage. So you have a separate structure from the actual like main building itself. So keep that in mind. And then redfish retreat is the example.
Okay, so it's bigger than the 2.
So it has a separate structure, character than the actual large lot, like large residential that has like a garage that's attached. It's a different,
Yeah.
different feel, if you will.
It does, it's like 2 little homes.
Upstairs. I got you.
Yeah, so here's an example we're using right here. So again, for 3, it's only one number because we wanted to keep it simple. But for 3, so green is I like it, red is I don't want it here. Right? So that's another example. Like if we're gonna develop this prototype again, where does it go? And if we don't, we want to prevent it from happening.
Yeah, it's good.
That picture's got red fish in here.
Yeah.
I have a couple of.
Red. 3, yeah, red.
3.
Keep it down. Yeah, so the photos are at 3 gardens. So it's redfish spearmint.
Right.
Can you bring it down a little bit? It's this guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to get rid of.
Does it say if they're green?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Green is good, right? Yeah, 3 is good. Green is good.
Green if you
Red
want to
is
see
you
it.
don't. Yes. Red is not so much.
Red beet.
Yes, that's my favorite thing.
So the only difference is the attached.
That's great. Oh, right.
You got, cities out there.
That's for the main neighbors. And then you've got for the neighbor.
No.
That's
If I wanted to say, don't let it. It goes out like that.
Yeah.
There's one out on 38, and there's one out on the states that's that big.
That's what a boat rail feels like.
No, that's.
Well, I mean, that's- Okay, yeah. With this,
And, just, Blue Rose. I didn't know that you were having a separate one for, a detached garage.
Yeah. Well, the question is different. It's really what we're finding, but garage size.
No, green is the one. Green is if you want it. They went to their own place, whatever.
What are you gonna do with the night?
What?
Are you gonna take this up?
Yeah.
You're gonna get computed when you get there.
I think so. I mean, I'm getting your comment. but- The green is good, red is bad. Red.
Probably 283.
They like bears, they say, oh, elephant. And then they. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they love it. They sit out there.
It looks like you said it's-
Yeah, I know that. Well, they didn't get that.
Stop it, man. No, they can't.
I really have nothing.
Well, they're over.
So real quick, you said we want to see development.
We're doing no.
Over here, big houses. I mean, you don't want.
The house was a separate garage.
Big
Where
lots.
do we not go see
Big
those?
lots.
On the other town.
We don't want to see them.
You don't wanna see it in town.
Yeah.
And already established.
No.
No, we're gonna have that big old on the triangle back there. Well, I mean, vaguely in this.
But-
area.
That's right.
Right, is the biggest house here.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, y'all ready? Ready?
Yep.
All right, let's go first.
So, kind of revisited some of the areas we already talked about. Want to build some bigger houses in the back here, closer to the city limits, being that we already said to build, why don't we call them medium-sized houses, the twos, up closer towards the school. We said Redfish Retreat would be good for some of these larger houses. And, I would say that I didn't want to see those big detached garage style houses right up along the bayfront here. Because I feel like it'd be better to get more people up against the water there, so. And of course, we didn't want to see large houses like that are in the already established areas in town. So,
Yeah, ditto. That word?
Really?
All right.
Y'all agree?
The only thing we did different is we
Yeah,
did put 3 houses.
we put threes pretty much all the way on the outside of the map, and we did do it on the waterfront. I'm thinking, eventually, I think we said, Port Connor's gonna fill up, people are gonna be looking for waterfront houses. This is where they're gonna be building these big, 2 and 3 story detached garage boat houses. We're thinking there's gonna be piers and all that. If they can get a hold of that land, that's probably the kind of development that's gonna follow that, because they're not looking for walkability, they're not looking for all the other town amenities. These are gonna be vacation homes, big stuff out here that already exists. We expect more of that. Same thing out toward Rosenbaum and then even farther outside of town past, the existing city limits, we're expecting more, larger vacation style, that kind of stuff. We also kind of noted that, down here like Blue Heron, it's kind of a mix between the bigger 2A and 3s. I wouldn't be surprised if more of the, Chocolate Bay area kind of turns into that again, that waterfront, big house. I think they've even got deed restrictions on all this land that you have to have 2,500 square foot homes, 2 stories and all this kind of stuff. So a lot of this land already has a bunch of that stuff. We're also cool with it down there in Redfish, but we put a couple of red 3s up here near some of these other 2Bs and 2As that already exist. We don't want to see them coming in and taking up more land on the established inner city. I'd like to kind of keep that character without encouraging larger growth in some of these more internal along the highway subdivisions that already exist. So
Makes sense. I hear a future debate. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're moving to small residential. So these are more of, so in general, a lot of the lots in Port Lavaca are around like 0.2 acres, right? It's about the general size. This one is less than 1,000 square feet. And then I'm showing you the streets to kind of give you an idea of like what it looks like, right? So again, where do we want to keep homes of this size? This is the smallest category in town. It's a lot of our existing homes. So where do we keep it? And then again, where do we not want it? So green we want, red we do not. And this also has just one number. So this is a 4.
Okay, four for the thousands of.
Or for 1,000-ish.
The smallest is Fort Lavaca.
So we talked
Fort
about this whole
Lavaca.
area, that was 4.
Oh, you're.
Now you can put.
That's fine, we had it there, it's fine, we'll leave it for now. And then we said the same
What
thing.
was smaller houses?
Yeah,
We're going for?
Yeah, I think
Maybe.
I think if we go, you can't really go smaller than that, but that was the number we were looking for earlier.
Well, look at that nursing home, I like that, just like behind the nursing home.
That's bad.
You know, there's a new addition. They got some little homes back there.
Yeah, but you could like behind,
They would be right behind the nursing home.
green from.
Oh, you're talking about the lumber?
Like say.
Yeah, those are small homes that. No, no, how did it, 5 feet apart?
No, there's one right next to the.
That's what I would do.
They 5 feet apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we made we made
Yeah.
Yeah, we forced.
That's probably, I don't know, where we, I think that's another category.
That's what I
Like this limit.
Duplex?
Yeah, they don't have all that.
If y'all can like mark it on the map.
Good out there.
That's like.
No, he's there. Yeah, he's right. He's got it. Yeah.
You get a budget and real price, you count that, really maybe want to see.
The only
Yeah.
thing that's there is that, you know where Black Rock Park is?
Y'all know what I'm talking about, those houses, they 5 feet apart? You know what, no, I'm serious, they 5, man, I would love to live that. They 5 feet apart, right behind the nursing home.
Because most
You got a little
I
park.
feel like I live right next to my dad.
Those little houses are 5
I
feet
live right
apart.
next to a goose.
They so cute.
So if y'all can like generally mark.
seem like in my neighborhood, we're all close together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we got it.
Nice.
Awesome.
And over here, these homes are both, well,
Yeah.
Are we doing it?
Yeah. You got do yours, Jack.
and then,
I'm gonna draw a little line, like right here.
Yeah, that's it.
Just to, well,
It's kind of all developed already.
well,
A little apartment complex.
Yeah.
maybe.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Because you're-
yeah, yeah.
So
I feel like that
remember,
person
so
out
you
here.
can you don't want to go away. It's really when I live in,
Yeah.
they can be like a small residential area we love in town. So you can have a variety of types. So we're trying to identify. And then where we probably want to, you know,
You know, I'll.
Yeah.
Green colors, since we're all- Really bring it in another color.
Those smaller.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You live right here, right, south side?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we have anywhere but four there?
In all the big neighborhoods where we have the twos and stuff, I wouldn't want to see them start building.
Yeah.
that. So you want to put one there.
Rosie, did you do?
Yeah.
that? Don't wanna see it.
Good little dollar stick.
Later, you don't want.
Did your heritage?
They don't have.
Wow.
We're on Florida, I know. I'm gonna say over here on the north of the high school or something, I wanna see it a little bit bigger.
How clear are they doing on this one right now?
Okay.
I think you got.
This one
We don't have enough
is-
floors in green up here.
It's our small residential.
I've been using them.
Sorry.
They don't have-
I don't know, right? I don't see them.
Oh, yeah.
What are you looking for?
Why not have the-
Four red?
Yeah.
I got a 4 red.
It's not where they think of that trees them.
Well, they don't know that yet.
We're laying it. Oh, we're.
Look at all this.
And then we're verifying.
What's this? Yeah.
Pretty
Pretty
solid.
Full description.
Red now is.
What I thought.
I wanna see the-
That's what I thought.
Very good. Where'd you put yours from?
Everyone's in behind the transport.
What about you, Rosie?
I mean, I
He said it didn't matter.
We're on 2,800.
Did you guys?
Right.
Put any, where that you don't want to see?
We don't wanna see them.
That's right.
What side?
I feel like residential.
Just.
Cool. You front loaded all the work. I got you.
Yeah, I just don't have the best. First.
Yeah.
Well, that's also y'all bonding, so, you know, there's the teamwork.
No, all these people, I don't know.
Yeah, so y'all ready? Yes.
We're ready. Well,
Perfect.
I think it's gonna be a common theme here.
Thanks.
We wanna see smaller houses like this in an already established middle part of town. Like on the previous numbers, we talked about bigger houses over here. Don't wanna see the 1,000 square foot over here or in Redfish. Yeah. Pretty simple.
So we finally made up for my earlier mistake of going off topic. And we placed all these green dots we had no number for because they were fours. So we saw that we did in fact want fours off of Main Street in Virginia and the little corridor by 35. So we were able to label out that 1,000 square foot, how many drive those kind of areas. We noted we don't want to see them in Redfish. We noted that we didn't really want to see that be the development here. But we did have a bonus point. Yeah, I was
They
told it was
did.
a bonus point.
It was a fun.
The duplex development by the nursing home Blair Crossing.
Oh, yeah.
Were a boon. We really enjoyed the look of those, the way that the duplex kind of fits in with the bigger houses that was standalone 1,000 square foot to 1,000 square foot duplex. So that is kind of a good development there. Maybe we can incorporate that into some of these. Yeah, Blair Crossing. So that was noted there as a special note. And then we kind of noted out here, leaving town on 35, that there is some development here by the potential rodeo arena, and that smaller housing and man camp, stuff like that has started to develop there. We could see that being, again, that 1,000 square foot, those smaller homes coming up in small neighborhoods, kind of along the highway out of town, where there's not really the central town, but we could see some smaller neighborhoods developing along the highway corridors.
Did you guys talk about Alcoa, like, between the Seabreeze and the church? I thought that was another good spot for smaller houses.
That is a good spot for that.
Oh, yeah, and we have one here, by Jackson. And then we just had, I wrote a note in here that we were thinking about some sort of a buffer zone between the industrial and the housing there.
Oh, yeah.
But we did kind of note that there's a large green space that we said we didn't like, but we didn't really have an answer, so I just kind of put, a line through the middle of it, buffer. We could see some smaller stuff going in near like the Bordeaux, not Bordeaux, Regency and that kind of stuff up towards where the park, we have a nice park, we have a lot of walkability in that area. It'd be really good for smaller homes.
And that's what we thought, what I thought on the other side of Wilson, right, where I didn't want a development there, because I don't like that road.
Yeah, that's
But that would be a great place for smaller homes,
Yeah, and I'm kind of, I guess I would kind of split in.
starter homes.
Yeah. So we noted that, and it does kind of fall off, there are some smaller homes, like, and my home's like 1,100 square foot on Shoffner. And I'm right there on Shoffner and Third. And all those homes in this little corner here, not towards Jackson, not towards Justice, but all of them kind of in this front end towards the Austin Street, are in that 1,100 and 1,200, included garage, small shed in the back, 0.25, So we could see that character of that neighborhood kind of flooding in down Austin, Cedar Street.
Okay, what does a buffer look like though? Can y'all talk about that?
No.
Nope, not today.
Did you ask that question? No.
No, y'all are backing into
All right,
zoning
five.
without knowing it. I need y'all to stay at land use today, but we'll get there tomorrow for sure. So,
Been doing this
okay,
for like
number 5.
9 years trying to get zoning going, so there's a couple of things popping out.
And it's because y'all are arguing about this, so I want you to argue about. So number 5, okay, so this is a medium residential house. This actually might be what you were talking about. So quarter size lot.
Okay, yeah.
The location is on the Smith Road. So it is
That's a little bigger than what I was thinking.
a little bigger.
Yeah.
The question we're trying to figure out is this the same size as your mind as the 0.7 lot we showed before? So are those different in your mind or are those the same?
Same.
Okay, so we're gonna ask that same question, where does this guy locate? So it helps us with size later, but, so we're asking you,
And the hard stuff was already in the beginning, you said.
there are 12 residential types, and then we're also gonna get into mixed use later. So I'm pushing the envelope now.
I don't, just as
That's-
a neat
that
thing,
reminds me of like
it feels too broken down.
This is because stays behind it.
The number.
It feels a little.
Smith Road.
It's what?
Smith Road is small.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Right?
Yeah.
Kind of forgot stays behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
little
that's
bigger.
right, because I was sitting there trying to think, okay, well, I guess if I would have known the whole list at first,
Yeah,
I could have better organized what, you know.
yeah.
No, I don't wanna, that's the whole, that's why I didn't show you, because I wanted you to think, I wanted you to be like, I don't know where we're going.
This feels like 2B to 3 to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay, so, well, so let's go back to 2B. So look at the size. So
So this is
1,500 to 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually brings up the question you were talking about where the setbacks on the side are less, right? It's a bigger
Right.
house. So if we go back to 2B, this is
2,500.
2,300, right?
So
Oh, the one
25,000.
below it.
23, 3.
But you notice how this is a 2-story. So are they?
But a smaller lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are those the same in your mind? So that's that's the question I'm asking.
More
you.
dense.
Yeah, okay, so I messed that up.
You are thinking, I think it's 1A. Is it 1A? No,
1A.
it's actually,
2 and 3 and
yeah, if you look at 3, no.
I mean, they're both pretty big houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is small, this is like your normal house.
So that's
Yeah.
more, that's more like what I see in
That's
like
like-
Bay,
Follow the
States.
That's typical construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like the lot size.
That's what I'm asking. No,
So this
that's
is
what
the
I'm
check.
asking. No, character is size. Character is when you show it to a community, what do you see? Are you looking at the second floor? Are you looking at the fact that it's spread out too far?
Right,
Setback?
lot sizes.
So I'm begging the question on character. What do you think
Yeah, I
character
think
is?
any house
story
that
house,
garage.
right?
Okay, so I misunderstood the lot size.
That kind of stuff. Yeah.
No, I.
With
no.
space, because the lot size means that you have more open spaces around the housing versus. No?
It's the physical size of the lot.
Right.
Right? The lot size is just the size of the lot. Now, what we're begging the question of is the character of the home. So does the home go up? Is that the same? Does it go out? What will you allow? So that's what I'm asking.
I see.
I'm asking it indirectly, and so I'm saying, do you like it and not? And so I want you to go in lots and identify, like neighborhoods.
Is it 5?
They think it's good or not.
5.
What neighborhood represents Bushy?
This one is.
Yeah, it's Smith Road.
Road, J Bay.
J Bay, yeah.
That's J
Well,
Bay.
JP's got a lot of 2-story
Behind, but farther down.
versus
Yeah.
when you're talking about the upper part of Smith Road. You're, so
J Bay has a lot of houses like that.
are they
And
not?
there's not too many 2-story, there's a couple, but most of them are not.
They're all,
Okay.
that's probably about 4, maybe 4, right?
Just
And
the
you
first
come
couple
in
that I
first,
haven't been in there.
Yeah,
at all.
right.
It was originally a bunch of 2-stories.
The rest of them are all like.
Yeah.
That's like.
So Red's where we want it, right?
Church, right?
Don't want it.
Friends,
Oh,
yeah.
I
Red
just
is
know.
no.
Yeah.
Red is like a
Just
stoplight.
say, go.
I'm very interested in your, in the driving. The red light, stop, red means stop, right? So, or it's just a lane thing.
Yeah, I noticed like up in that area, there was like only like houses that were free, but.
What do we find?
It's not a predominant.
The other is more pop.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of everything.
Last, yeah. It's not like-
Yeah. Because,
So good,
was-
Yeah.
This one.
When you
But-
Right, right.
It's
Still, it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
That's what- that's where it's put.
See them around here. This is what I'm on this road. Like here. Yeah, they. So the other. Those need a bunch of little.
To the, I don't think.
So you figure a 50 by 100.
You made the only exception. Yes, but across the big roads.
Can't distinguish it.
Sometimes.
Kids on it yesterday, it rained.
If we can't distinguish.
In my neighborhood or where?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a distinction.
Moving on.
Okay, you guys, do y'all think it's similar to the one you just saw, size wise?
I have a
Similar.
problem delineating these different categories, and that's kind of the test.
The one with
Are
the-
they so similar that we're fine with them being in the same category? That's what we're saying.
Well, the little houses, this is now regular size, and then we have the big ones, so.
We'll see the, like,
This is in between.
Yeah.
This is another.
down here.
Yeah.
I think, that would be the smaller homes.
This is the last
Yeah,
category that I
That's a lot of size.
Last one tonight?
Of houses?
Well, the next one's manufactured.
Yeah, keep trying.
Good try there. Okay, so now we're moving on to this. Okay, so now we're flipping.
Got five.
So now we're, do y'all think it's the same as the one?
No, I think it's
That's different. That's
different.
different.
Well, okay, we're not.
I don't think.
Very good. So, when we-
Okay.
It's different. We don't, I don't see it.
That's a heck word.
Okay.
That's the same. Okay.
I don't know.
Housing.
There's some houses that are probably. I'm talking about what you showed us. Outside of that.
How much code do we
You know, so
need?
I don't know, maybe it's like.
The one that she showed.
Tradition behind high school here is small houses, maybe not thousands, maybe more like this, to even bigger than bigger. So how do you
I
zone
think
that?
they're big leagues.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, like neighborhood in big cities, start off not small houses, but
Yeah.
medium size in the front, and get bigger as you go.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's true. I go.
So are y'all, okay, so what is y'all synopsis? So did y'all put any on there?
Yeah.
Green and red?
Yeah.
Okay, so what y'all
Yeah, so go ahead,
thought?
Rose.
Let's go.
Eric put one, you should be
So
on
we put
that.
them in Bay Vista and around the state area. And
Okay.
then, we put one, which.
I put mine down here on Henry Barber Way, like across from what? Caddy Corn Drive Wholesale. That's all undeveloped over there.
Yeah.
It's a good size for neighborhood, this, houses of this size.
Yeah.
I agree.
I can agree with that. I think in my mind, the developments, there's overlap, like you're saying, where you maybe this is the smaller houses in front of the bigger houses. Maybe this is the bigger houses on the edge of the smaller houses. It kind of bridges the gap for me. So I have a little bit of trouble delineating.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to.
That's just me.
I mean, isn't that, is it over there? But I wouldn't want to put a big house right across the street from Charlotte and Tommy Drive.
Well,
or
that's
Central Street.
That's the
I'm
two
sorry,
A,
I
two
just wouldn't want to
B.
do it.
That's 2A, 2B. I'm not talking about putting 2A and 2B
No,
next
but
to
you're talking
five.
about,
But I'm talking about.
What's a range? So we're looking at.
I know, but in my
small,
mind,
large. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to put it, that wouldn't want to be what I'm looking at my front door. I have to drive by every day. Sorry, I'm not a snob, but it just.
Well, it doesn't just carry for your neighborhood. And that's.
Yeah, look at that, yeah.
I guess along those lines, if I didn't want to see this size house anywhere. No, I just really a medium one. I'm kind of okay everywhere, well, except for the already in town, like we've already said.
Yeah.
There's some very high density.
Yes.
Some more high density homes you wouldn't.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
This is a good segue. Okay, so segue number 6, now we're about to turn into manufactured residential.
Oh.
So here we go. This is where we're moving into
Does anybody have
multifamily.
a cream they want to put down? Cause I'm.
So number 6, so what we're showing here, I know I'm talking about a lot of things in this, but I want you to stay very focused on the use. So the fact that it is a manufactured park lot or a manufactured lot, just one lot, just like this. And it looks, and on the right, it's generally in an area kind of like that. And so we took a snippet of it. Trying to figure out your thoughts on it. So
Individual lots for manufacturing.
He's talking about.
Just-
This is a park.
Are you talking about
This is a
individual
single-
lots for
This is
manufacturing?
a single, this one is a single home.
Single lot. Yeah.
On the property.
Yeah, just one lot outright.
Not a trailer park, just one single.
One single.
One
I
single.
think we have a ordinance on the book, if we don't do that, everybody's
Yes.
cool with that.
I'm just gonna set it there.
So green if you like it, red if you don't.
That's against your ordinance. We put it in there.
You can put red everywhere.
What number is that?
Yeah.
That's 6.
Okay.
I'm
So
gonna put a red 6 on the.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so let me try to understand, are there any single areas in town that you can think of that you want to keep? That you want to conserve?
That already has a
Not as a
trailer on it?
singular, not as a singular.
There's none that I want.
The parts we have separated out, so this is just singular individual replacement trailers.
And there is
We don't have that.
manufactured home subdivision.
Yeah, that's a separate.
That's.
Yeah, that's gonna be separate, so that's.
Okay, so
What
y'all
about-
want to see these turned
What
over?
about-
Is
what
that
about-
what I'm
Remember that
understanding?
dude that came
I'd rather
and
see
he
tiny.
had to live like a mile from the.
Special use permit, but we don't have the zone.
Specific use fund.
Should we designate an area?
You
for
don't
people?
have-
Well, see, and that's the thing is that, and that's one of the things we discussed at the last meeting.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Is, and it's not just my personal feelings, I'm just just from my experience. There are, you're talking about the starter homes and things like that. There's people that, want to own their own property, can't afford a big down payment on a stick-built home. They can't afford to put down 30,000, 40,000 on a home or whatever, but they can't afford to get a loan for a manufactured home. And, so they want to own their own property, they want to take care of their own property, and they want their own house. So, then they take pride. There's people that take pride in that. That might have been the best thing they've ever lived in. But that's just something to consider while you're doing zoning too.
I've
I
seen
think
this.
it should be in the variant, it should be
Well,
by
and-
case based, because some of these lots, you can't build a house, all you can put is a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it might be, they'd have to build a stick-built house. But I mean, that's just something to consider whenever.
I know there's some developments in like Victoria where they're selling the lots and the houses individually and making a whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
Instead of it, like they basically build a manufactured home park and then just sell it out. And
Sell property.
Let's go to the
It'd be
next,
like a planned unit development.
Yeah.
let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah,
gotta just
y'all
shut
answered
up
my
on every
question.
go.
So
Yeah, it is.
manufactured home park.
Mhm.
So what are your thoughts on this?
We have several.
It's a
some of them are in good
specific
shape.
area in town that is built like this. It possibly comes to council planning and zoning for approval, PUD type of environment or something like that. It gets approved, it gets done.
Yeah.
This is a rental.
So we can't really control the rental, we can control the park
As
side.
long as it's not in do they own the
Well, they
property?
could have an HOA.
So usually needs an HOA, and we usually
But
There's a lot of crosstalk and I can't follow it all. Can we do one at a time? I only got 2 ears, man. And I'm more of a yapper than a listener. So there's a lot of crosstalk and a lot of discussion going on. I can't absorb it all. So
Yeah.
where are we at on
I think
manufactured home park?
Clarify, I believe what I'm hearing, Kristen say is it's basically like Lana Park. It would be what I call a manufactured home subdivision, where people actually own the lots.
Yeah.
One of the things, well, it depends. It's kind of like a townhome or a condo. The big thing that you would be wanting to look at as a planning and zoning commissioner council are HOA rules. You would want
Yes.
some pretty stringent rules. We can't, as a city, we can't do that anymore. But you would very much be looking for them to come in and to basically manage it. So that would be part of the planning and zoning. You would look at it first and give it to council for approval, right? So what I would recommend, and this is, I know we're getting into zoning, but this is one that would come to the city, whether a special use permit or whatnot. That's the process I'm trying to figure out. But at the end of the day, yes, it would be like a whole area that's developed at once. It would have roads put in it, of course, like it'd have to have access.
So you're asking if anybody wanted to come in and develop one, we'd be okay with that?
You would be
Derek, is
asked.
this
They would have to
same
come in and give
development
it to
that We
you.
had had in previous versions.
There was okay, I think the one that Jody's referring to is,
Yeah.
everybody knows Hackberry Street.
Dana Park.
That was a mobile home subdivision. And they did the same thing, they did a HOA, but the HOA is no longer active.
Right.
So now you drive down that road, what do you see?
Yeah, it was good. It was good it was built in 1982 and it was really nice for,
a long time.
I don't know, 20 years or so.
Once the
That's all they want.
But once the HOA ceased, so did the upkeep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And now there's even a home on the part of it, I think.
Yeah, they
Because you
replaced,
could,
one of our
yeah.
homes replaced an
Well,
old
let's do the-
beat up trailer.
Grant program.
Okay.
I guess this would be something we'd have to look at specifically. I don't know that we could map this out, but I think if we had a roadmap in our ordinances, like we have currently with our, manufactured home ordinance and our home park ordinance, we could potentially beef that up into something to hold this together. But
Yeah.
I don't think we can necessarily put a sticker on a map for this.
It is a future conversation. It's definitely a good it's a good debate, if you will. That's why I put them together.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to figure out what you want that future property to be. So the
Well,
point of the
Halley
future
Harbor Way
land
was-
use,
I mean, we did talk about Haley Harbor Way, which is out by the fairgrounds.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That street was where we potentially said something like this could go. in
Yes.
past.
okay.
So we have identified some areas that would potentially fit this kind of thing.
That would be in that open space area.
That would be, yeah, which we marked as
And it's
non-accessible.
pulling up,
and
like a
everything.
beat part, but I mean, at that
Yeah.
time, it wasn't.
So this is what is this, a 7?
The whole
This
road.
is
This is
eight.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a seven.
So I'm gonna put green 7 on there just to kind of clarify for
Yeah.
for future purposes.
It's like,
Uh,
on the 35
just we'll
side.
do it out there.
It has
That would be
both
fine.
I saw it the other
Seven.
night.
Like I said, HOA and.
That was like-
It's a 7A or 7B.
No, yeah, good point.
Trailer park there.
Good point. It's neither. I think we're getting to the point where those are so similar to me. We probably didn't agree with that.
On the other side.
They're just,
Airline.
I didn't know if y'all were gonna argue about having
Yeah,
a
yeah.
front porch. That's the only reason I put them.
Yeah.
It has some home.
Buy the parking lot's maintained and they have
I
to
just,
do
I
it.
never know if people are gonna get excited. Cities go crazy about porch or whatever, so there you go.
Yeah, yeah, there
Okay.
are.
Both are not cheap either.
So we're
Much
gonna.
better than housing.
Yeah, they came to the planning board. one time.
I was like, oh, I did not know that.
So where are we at, Chris?
Yeah, so let's go to 8, so the recreational vehicle park. What are our thoughts? So these are essentially two different things. We'll talk about screen later, we'll pull this back up. So let's say focus on the use, but they're basically the same. They're basically saying you bring your RV in, you get to sort of like back it into the space, and this is what it could look like. So do we like these? Do we not? Where do we keep them? Is there areas we don't
I
want
think we
them?
have enough of them.
I think we
I think the staff's
There's one on
response are-
Henry Barber Way.
Yeah.
that's been
Or
Or
it's nice.
and
Yeah.
There's nobody
There's
in
nobody
there.
there.
Into that. And we have some down by the water, and we have some existing ones that are out here, and they kind of fit into that whole east side retreat properties. I don't think we expand on that, but I think they're all grandfathered in, we just need to be
Was Bayfront Townhomes, what's that?
What now?
Oh, sorry, I was wrong.
Yeah, sorry.
Wrong
That was
section.
your-
Okay, never mind.
You're squishy on the, I know, I probably should have put more spacing. So, okay, so I think, there are no locations, basically keep as is,
Keep
don't
as
expand,
is,
just,
yeah.
okay. So let's go to 9, multifamily. Okay, so now we're starting to bridge the conversation on what type of multifamily do we like. We know that we have an aging population. We know that we have this middle demographic we're trying to capture in town, right? So you've got kind of the very small homes and then you've got the very, very large homes. So the question is, what are we wanting to see in the middle? So this is like what we would call like middle housing. The top left one is really your typical apartment that we probably see in town. The one on the right is the townhomes. It might actually be the one that y'all got the bonus for.
Yeah.
I think it might be the one that was like behind the nursing home on the top
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
And then the bottom left is also another like apartment. So it's kind of similar to one at the top. And then on the far right is actually an apartment too. So we're asking, are there any of these you enjoy? Are there any of these you don't? And if so, what does that look like?
What's the one on the bottom right? What's that?
That's
The independent-
that's
Yeah,
a
that's
village.
No, but that's the village.
That's a village. That's the village.
That's the village.
Yeah.
So again, this is 9A, 9B, 9C,
The
9D.
apartments on the left been there for 50 years. But they just
I like the village.
Yeah.
I like the village. That's nine what?
9D.
Nine B.
That'd be similar to what Jimmy Shelton just did
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I like those.
Say the 9B, like the 13 unit building. That on the corner of Commerce. Oh, yeah, Gary needs.
Oh, yeah, bakeries, apartments.
Yeah. They have.
It's a town.
I think 5D.
Yeah, no, I, my family owns
that's
all
Yeah.
of those right there.
And my husband used to play with your dad.
I don't see
Back here's not bad by the agency and.
That was great.
I love my house.
That's
And
a
I-
Private. My old mini house. One of them burned down.
Well, it's not enough. You know what, why wouldn't we put some apartments on that lady next door?
Oh, 9B.
On the water.
Green.
No,
No, because you got a bunch of.
On that water?
No, there's a 9B. We want to put apartments and all that.
There's a 9B.
It wouldn't fit with everything else.
Yeah, but-
Gary.
Or A or B or C, don't matter.
Well, hell, that's my land. What?
Oh.
Well, no, he's my brother. We say we brothers.
A, B, C.
Another brother. Yeah.
So, not anywhere down Main Street where we're kind of already packed in tight.
Man, that would be nice to have a park, we're gonna look at it, so one.
Maybe like.
Well, yeah, what condo, look at condo. Get condo.
This is affordable housing.
Let's do
It looked good on the outside.
You know, like, when I hear it, it's like.
Yeah,
but that, yeah.
I'm not saying we're kids.
Yeah, when I was there, he was had them. Yeah, okay.
Oh, really?
Alright, like I said, farmers down here by, what's it all, it's this, either, and.
Oh, the cable platform.
Oh, right next to mine.
And that was over by.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was 5 years ago.
Well, they first time there, they were.
They were.
Like pinwheels and stuff, because that's usually how
And they don't really have.
But I know, I said, chips,
But
tips.
they got.
You know,
I think he was bringing me.
That's the one to put it where it
cookies,
does.
you know, I just something.
Hungry?
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, they're apartments, you're right.
Plan B. We get the B? Then we get.
These those other apartments.
We like those.
We got it.
Certain kind of apartments. A,
All right.
B, C, D.
Hang in there.
D is Jimmy Shelton's.
Yeah, little bitty.
All right.
Small,
Apartments.
small,
I
small.
don't know apartments today.
I mean, that's kind of.
Yeah.
Well, how about the-
Yeah, I mean,
Behind you, Justin.
Yeah, we put it on a court.
That was it.
And then we have. How about there was a place right next to Walmart?
Yeah,
Yeah, big lot. Big lot.
Right there.
That's it.
Go ahead, Justin. What do you got?
So basically, we just kind of expanded on what already exists. Like down here, you got the crane and the Regency, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we also went with the villas, another larger apartment complex to go in there. And it's already, the future land use map calls for, more large apartment complexes on Independence, so. I guess that's kind of what we saw. There's, you don't want to see them anywhere that there's already gonna be larger lots with bigger houses. You don't want to see them here in the middle of town.
Yeah.
What you guys come up with?
We did something similar up where we had those duplexes and larger homes. We did put a no 9, you know, in the
Okay.
general area. We were, you know, again, like coming down from big homes and duplexes, so we didn't want to go any farther down. So we drew a line there. I think, you know, Independence we did, down here by Jackson Crane. Apartments, we did that too. One place we looked at was, Henry Barber Way and then off towards, Alcoa, where the Steve Reeves apartments are.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of green space there. We would be able to see that kind of tying in and across from Tommy where there's smaller homes. A lot of stuff that I think we did pick out was near or on a larger arterial road. So that it's not, we specifically said we didn't want to see any like in the middle of house heights or anything like that. We didn't want to see them, you know, in the smaller streets with the heavy traffic. We really put them, I think everything that we noted had a large roadway. accessible to it. And then over here by Walmart, there's been a couple people that looked at something, but either in Walmart adjacent area or maybe across the street where the hotels are. But we said an apartment complex near the hotels or in that corridor on 35. But we specifically put it in that commercial corridor, not on the waterfront, not in, you know, Smith Road area. We put it specifically in there near the hotel area.
On, like, the entrance would be on the bank, this is tiny, right?
Like Patty Brownie
Or on 35.
or right off of, yeah, across, just depends on the development there.
Hotels are going in, I mean, why not have an apartment complex?
Yeah, you look at like,
Maybe the access for.
You have that sidewalk, right there, they can walk.
and you've got a lot of amenities there, a lot of walkable amenities near, you know, city resources and stuff, and so it makes sense that you would do something like that. I mean, if you go in some of the areas near like, the university, well, I guess it's what, A&M in Victoria now, or the Victoria College, you know, there's a lot of apartmental kind of housing that's not necessarily school, but school adjacent because of all the amenities in that area, but it's not a neighborhood area. So something in that realm where it's, you know, you kind of put in a little internally facing apartment complex would probably fit pretty well with the hotels. Nice.
Okay, now we're pushing. Now I'm pushing y'all. Ready? So 10, this is trying to reimagine these buildings as residential. So I know they are now, but what do we think about these as actual, like imagine them as some type of a development that could actually house like people who live in.
Oh, that'd be great.
So we're
That'd be
pushing
great. I
that.
like that.
So I want to ask you that. And then actually, let's go to 11 real quick. In addition, we're kind of asking this too, again, to push your brain. Like, do we like it? Do we hate it? What are our thoughts?
Like waterfront.
But it's on one nose.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want you to work on the first one because they're kind of related to the second one, but they might be in different locations. So I want to just give you a preview So 10A.
By the Bauer Center.
10A and 10B.
10A and 10B.
No, I'm gonna go back to 10A and 10B. So those two. So if we expanded those into, would y'all like to see those as apartments?
Yeah.
Or
Like that.
townhomes or?
Yeah, I can see that.
I would like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if so, where? So where would 10A go? Where would 10B go? And keep in mind, these are taller, these are probably the tallest buildings we have in town, so keep that in mind.
Well,
On Butler,
Kitchens, other area, with a higher rise, more condo.
I think those would be the next one. Then you can be 11.
Oh,
Jared.
11? What is that there?
So
10?
let's focus on 10A and 10B, these two.
These are 10.
What would 11 look like?
These
You see what 11 would look like?
Eleven's like that,
11 is more like a down there in Miami condo.
like the ones next to Scully's.
Okay, so you would want 11 on Butler's property right up to there.
Right, but I think going back up to 10.
we're doing 10.
That's my brother.
Stay focused. I told you stay
So
focused.
this is existing, let's focus
Yeah,
on.
you got me off the focus.
Great.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, this is existing, so which of these, which prototypes would y'all want to see, right? If somebody came today and said, hey, I want to turn this into an apartment. Where would that go, right? A prototype like that, where would it go? Would it stay existing? Would it go somewhere else in town?
That's what they.
Is there a place you don't want it?
They're basically the same.
They were.
That's the next, just the one on the left, looks
That's
like
it.
a house. You're on Main and one on the right.
That's Jerry, keep this right.
Yeah. and some of them will go like, I don't think like, they don't find any multi-family, that's the question.
Yeah.
And then it also comes down to.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I heard.
I mean, I don't know about you.
But isn't it like a single markets and shared county?
Do we want the 10, do we want the 10?
That would be 10B.
So right now, this property.
That's like kind of.
What's the difference between A and B?
So what, a lot of places are a little pickier, so sometimes you can get A through because it's not the house. It looks more like a single family, and so that's the benefit, is that it could have multifamily in it, but again, when you look at character, it could match a neighborhood that looks like that. And so at the end of the day, that's why we were planning where it's more about form. It's not about the actual function of the building, it's about what's in it. And so the question on the left is, do you like it so more like a single family home? Or are you okay with sort of something like an existing building that's in the downtown area, not necessarily built residential, but could be transported residential? So those are the questions. And they can be two different, completely different things, right?
Yeah. There's Main Street right here.
Yeah.
So it's right here. It's right here on this side.
The other thing is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, right.
Like it's close to the.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the back part of the.
That's right.
Okay.
Have
Yeah.
that.
That's right there.
Broadway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's possible. That first, even if it's behind the Walmart, just go to Broadway.
Oh, no.
Like if you come around.
That's the rich,
Yeah, on this side.
On the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Across from the big clay.
You can actually see the. Yeah.
So we can see that. That's cool. Where?
What's sound?
What right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, we had that one.
Right.
Hold on.
Oh, they have me.
Okay, yeah.
That one is on this side, where you're blocking it. I feel like driving by and seeing.
Oh, finish here, but I got it where you got it.
Yes.
I'm just thinking that it's anywhere in here.
I don't care.
I got a little bit over my brother.
Here's the 10A right here.
What do you want?
No.
Right.
Where would the rest of them?
Right.
Randall.
Randall?
What?
Okay, Randall.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Is y'all ready?
Here?
Okay. Who's that?
Randall be over here.
Oh, the one next to that, there where Randall was.
Right here?
But just kind of gross.
Oh, so.
Yep,
I don't know.
we're gonna sleep all night.
City block, that's. Right now.
Where is it? On the map right here?
So we could reserve.
Yeah, I think that's right there for the city.
There's no coffee shop? Yeah. That's a good idea.
This is a little house. That's a big house.
And then the other big Y'all ready? Okay.
So I did one of the, because I kind of imagined that one on the right, 10B, more as commercial on the bottom floor, with maybe some apartments up top. So being close to Walmart kind of came to mind, and that it could overlook the water in the house close to it. I like that spot. And then
Okay, so but is a mixed use district, not necessarily residential.
Okay.
Very good. Let's
Okay.
turn it up later.
And then Daniel, we own the city owns some property down here off of Randall, and we could stand to have some nice apartments like that on the bayfront. And I think Rose agreed. Rosie, where did you say you want to put your?
What?
Your apartments?
Oh, no. I
It
didn't
was
hear
me,
you.
I wanted to put it on, Railroad,
On Railroad, we talked
but I
about.
wasn't big.
Yeah, okay.
Where that seagull is.
Yeah,
Yes,
that right there.
So 10B or 10A? Y'all only like 10B, 10B?
No, today,
No, 10A.
10A.
There, right there.
So 10A near Railroad?
Yeah.
Now they're railroad and Seagull.
It's
It's a big hotel.
Hell.
10B is
Hotel.
retail.
Okay, it's an old hotel that's, I think.
It's, yeah, but it's got a lot of major cracks to it. I mean,
They was trying to do something, but they.
yeah.
I know, they were trying to send.
And then we did Randall too, on Randall.
Mhm.
Okay.
You mean the corner of,
Oh,
what is
yeah.
that, Randall and, Randall?
So
It's that property that
we did 10A on Independence. We did 10A over by Walmart. And nothing in the Old Town District, nothing right here,
Yeah.
nothing up toward we kind of debated the harbor and stuff area, and we said, no, not right there, we don't, that's a little bit too commercial, and I'd rather not see a bunch of apartments take up new commercial space.
Yeah.
But then we were farther over by, across from Walmart, we had some, on the other side of Broadway too, maybe a little bit where those existing, homes are, those big stucco homes. There's a few empty lots out there,
Yes.
some overgrown bushery. Thought that would be kind of nice. I think that might end up being where we also put some 11s, just because it's coming up, but. I'm thinking that's a little bit, y'all put a little bit of 10 in that city property, and I think
Yeah.
that might be even better to push into 11. I just think
Could
it's
be,
close to the
So,
water,
yeah.
you might want to push a little more towards the 11. We
Yeah.
kept everything on the inside of Broadway for 10. I think we were gonna do the outside probably for 11.
So one thing I do want to ask, and from what, so you just basically quantified what highest and best use is for each parcel, right? What you're
Thank you.
saying is, don't locate like an apartment where you can have like the best
Yeah.
use and that it's
Yeah.
commercial and things like that. So I do want to ask the question on, so with mixed use or with the residential that we just saw, in y'all's mind, is there an area in town that you would want to see commercial, retail, things like that? Which of those are the highest in? Would it be the downtown area? Would it be the waterfront district? Is there a specific area that you want to focus higher in uses for residential as well?
You're talking about the commercial and above residential on top? Am I-
Possibly.
Okay.
So in town, we need to differentiate. There's going to be a space that you really like commercial, that's like kind of high end. And then there's possibly residential as well. Are they combined? Are they separate? Is it downtown? Is it waterfront district? So now let's go to 11.
If you combine them, you gotta make sure that you limit what you put in that commercial space if there's residential above, because you don't want a bar that's open till midnight and then have apartments right above it.
Okay.
So you gotta. I lived in Chicago, Illinois for 25 years, so we have a lot of buildings like that where they regulate what goes in underneath the residential. And if you have residential
Absolutely.
above, you need to have, if it's a commercial space, it needs to be like a clothing store, jewelry store, something that is not gonna stay open late at night and gonna interfere with the residential.
Sure, because that's
Yeah.
all folks. want.
That's my personal.
Yeah. 10A, 10B, you're also, there's gonna be required a lot of off-street parking. So it's gonna take up a lot of wasted space.
Which one?
The 10A and 10B.
Unless you have a parking lot that you
Well,
already.
10A does have a parking lot back.
Yeah.
Their buildings. they have
Or if the
parking
city
units.
allows for on-street parking, right? Which will be a great conversation tomorrow.
I was just thinking because the, 11, they have their garages to, for parking and, that way they're kind of outside. Whereas you get, families moving into those other ones, everybody's had their own vehicles. You're talking about a lot of off-street parking.
Absolutely.
It's gonna take up a lot of land.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, that was where we kept some of those tens on those, like it was talking bigger arterial roads is where we're worried about the traffic versus, a single guy with one car in a garage or a motorcycle or something, you can tuck that under the house. But otherwise, you're gonna have to build apartment complexes and a parking, and that's just a huge piece of property.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about 11. So 11, so I'm asking you that question. I'm asking you the question on highest and best use. In your mind, is this anything we want at all? And then if so, it's kind of higher end residential. Where does it go? Where does it make sense in the community, right? Is it downtown? Is it along the water? Do we like it at all?
What are you? I think y'all.
So that's something to think about, right? And then we technically have 4.
So that was good.
Yeah.
We have. So residential. So
Where Randall, so Randall, by Randall, by the water.
Test.
I just want to make the water.
And then we.
So is that 11A?
Yeah.
Is it in B?
Yes.
Okay. That's your specific.
Justin?
It's A, 11A, 11B, 11C, 11C.
This is like the drawings are different, find the things.
Eleven B is nice.
11B is not.
The one bottom right, I like the one.
But I like 11B.
Yeah,
I like everything but.
down here. No,
There, bottom right, be right there. Well, when you turn left and go to Scully, go straight and then that big lot right there.
the one on the top right now.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's 11B.
That's a big old lot.
That'll be,
But it also gives us. So I'm trying to. I have pictures in there.
I'm putting 11 there.
That's
A and B.
Oh,
yeah.
Again, that's very accent on how I is. We're just trying to do.
Oh,
Good thing you got it in the water.
Yeah. What is, okay, so you put 11A, so you're talking about the first, the top.
Yeah.
That's out too. Probably good to look at.
I'm proud of y'all. I heard that one.
Yeah. Two tops.
I don't like you, so I'm
I wanna do a high rise similar
So the bottom of Lemon Dean,
Oh, yeah. Your bucket is, JM to the water. Like if you put on that little bit. I'm curious. On the field.
Ready?
We put it over here.
All right, let's go.
I
want to go first. You want me to go first?
Yes.
Ready?
Which John's coming? I thought he went first. They're not ready?
Oh, yeah.
You're not ready?
Who's ready?
Hold on, let me do it, so they're not copying me this time.
Okay.
Alright, we picked all the same places you did first. Alright,
Okay.
where the hell we go? So we went over here by the, there's that cut and over, across the street from Walmart, there's a lot of that green lands that we were talking about on the inside of Broadway, that's where we put on our 11th. And then we also went in here where the city's high up, higher spots above the wetlands are, and we thought that would probably be the only place you could put, something like 11D with the park garage off of it. And, that would be nice to identify.
That's about it.
No, then we did.
What version did you put?
That's it, this one.
Oh, okay.
What version did you guys put where you?
Where is right there, Lane D?
This one?
No, the other one.
This one.
What version of condos did you put?
We just put 11. I think a lot of them would fit there. I don't think he would, but we said, you could end up, what they have right now is kind of in that C and A range, where it's single person
Oh, yeah.
garage on the bottom.
Yeah.
We could see more of that, or we could see something in the B range where it's 2 or 3 different
Yeah.
mixes. But I think again, I think as long as it's kind of nicer, bigger waterfront properties, that's kind of what I'm seeing there. I'm not, no parking garages, no, off street, but it would just be either of those. Yeah, I don't think either one, I don't necessarily think one is better than the other in that area.
And I just didn't see a high rise building anywhere because it just doesn't fit our town,
Well,
my view of our town.
I don't know how high you'd want to go, but it would be near the docks, it would be near, the some of the stilted houses over by the water and the boats, so there's a really good view there, and it is kind of a little peninsula piece of property. So I think the view there is nice, I just don't know, and I mean, behind that.
Put a high rise there just because you wouldn't be able to fit there. There'd still be some down.
Oh, they'd be fine, if there's a will, there's a way. But yeah, so that was probably the only place I would say
That was
something on
my
that side.
It just doesn't fit.
Well, because it's kind of a
There
point,
behind-
the parking garage would be behind it, would be some prime land.
That-
I mean, there's a lot of smaller trailer homes up there that you could just build.
Right.
a parking garage
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Fill up a big high rise, that way you're really utilizing the most viewability for people.
Like, no.
And then behind it, you have a dead
Yeah.
zone.
Not like number
No.
four.
All right, Jeff, what's your thoughts?
Well, we did,
But,
kind of like that, we did an 11A,
That would.
along the bayfront there.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Making of that.
I was thinking about a high rise here, but they were thinking,
Yeah.
like more of those.
For the beat.
I guess it was the third one, bottom left, like,
See,
yeah, see,
That's what they have there now.
yeah.
but more of those, Randall. Yeah, they are,
There's a couple of them there already, yeah.
And
Yeah,
put the
that's
water, Randall in the water.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, so same.
Okay, so 12.
One more? Is that our last one?
No, we're about halfway through.
I'm actually gonna have to leave.
Commercial,
I am too.
yeah, commercial should be faster because again, we've kind of tested theory, so it should go faster.
It's our last residential.
Oh, good.
Yeah, residential was a lot because I felt like that's what we need to identify. Like, what do y'all think about middle housing? So big box or strip commercial. I have a feeling y'all might have a really good idea of where this goes. Okay.
Up and down 35. I don't want to see anything big box commercial anywhere. 35.
Okay, moving down there.
Well, big box.
Nobody.
Any other? It sounds like major roads. Any other major roads?
Tiny Browning
35.
down in there.
I mean, Tiny Browning's kind of an extension on the 35 if they had to kind of do it there, but really 35, I think you lose a lot of really good housing options on the end of Tiny Brown.
Yeah, okay.
But this Walmart,
Oh, down to Walmart, but yeah, behind. You put something attached like you have on the front of Walmart to the back of Walmart, but you wouldn't want to go all the way down Tiny Brown.
What about where the parking lot is by downtown, across from, Los Rios box store there?
that's
So
that'd be a city park.
This
That's
is
a parking
huge.
lot.
So we're talking about the largest commercial that you put in town. That's what this use is.
Yeah, this
It's
is,
the largest. It has the most
this is
parking,
Walmart, HEB.
If you're looking at it for
very
parking,
large,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
access to big roads.
No, I think
anywhere on I-35.
I think
Okay.
there's better uses for that land.
Yeah.
Not that it couldn't be, but there's better uses.
Okay. So 14, so now we're getting a little smaller. We're kind of squeezing down.
That's
Yeah,
down,
what about thir-
that's
that was
down Maine, that's down Virginia,
13 was this.
that's down
Oh.
Tiny Brown.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped. I'm sorry. 13.
Yeah, 13 smaller standalone.
Yeah.
buildings.
I just read the wrong number. Yeah, so now we went big. Now we're getting a little bit smaller. Are there certain areas that you
Like
think
Tiny Brownies, stuff like that.
I mean, that's where the Starbucks T-Mobile deal, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about around Walmart or around the hotel, kind of tangential. Again, it's like higher, lower, that's kind of more of a buffer from your big to your little, you know? You look at things like those little strip centers of 3 and 4 buildings, and that's what you expect before you get into the neighborhood. And I mean, they're right there. They're where they're supposed to be. You've got some of the even smaller between 13 and 14 running down Virginia and off of,
Maybe on
you know.
Virginia, not downtown. That.
So-
I mean, maybe a few places on Virginia.
Luminous.
Would y'all think that some of these are along some of the lesser roadways? So like clearly 35 is one of your biggest, right?
Right.
Highest volume. What other roadways do y'all think make sense for development like this?
Virginia.
That's
Austin.
Virginia,
Either
Maine.
Virginia, Maine.
Virginia, Maine, Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at a map, you can really see how they delineate out.
Okay.
And then, of course, Broadway as well has some of that kind of stuff. And I think there's a lot of waterfront that you want to utilize there, but like we were talking on the inside of Broadway, where there's a lot of dead space near, like the Omar's Bar, Chubb's Bar, there's a lot of green space in that area. You could potentially put in parking and some little strip center if you
Yeah.
wanted to.
There's a lot of wasted buildings downtown that can be used too.
There you go,
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, I mean, you
But
can reclaim a lot. of
before we
land.
do anything down on Main Street, city's gotta do something about the sewer system.
Well, I'm thinking of
Buildings
farther
on the
down,
outside
man.
of the
I'm
street.
talking like, I mean, you've got the restaurants and stuff coming in closer to Boston and Alcoa. You know, I could even see some of this on Alcoa if we really wanted, but Alcoa is really more residential.
Yeah.
Austin.
Yeah, no, yeah, Austin Street's one of them. I
So
said Austin Street.
what's the relationship of this land use in 14? So 14 is similar, but it's actually like more of a shopping center. So it's more linear. So instead of being a
These are more
standalone
office
building,
buildings. Once you
so
have.
what are your thoughts? Are they the same as 13 or are they different?
Business stuff.
No, it's business.
I could see that going in maybe the slightly smaller roads as well, because those are gonna be, you know, clinical type, clinician type, where you have 1 or 2 cars up there seeing somebody. They're not necessarily shopping centers,
Insurance.
large businesses. They're gonna be like, professional services buildings.
County.
And you need a couple of parking, but most of this is pull in from the street parking that you have right here, not lot parking, you know? So that's where you get into more downtown Main Street, Old Town, where you have pull-in parking, or you get into, Cedar Street or something could have some of that, you know, where they have, I know there's 2 or 3 businesses close to the city park where there's like pull-in parking, pull-out parking. So you can go down just a half step on the roads where you're not a
So-
resident.
So am I hearing you right in that commercial buildings like 13, you're thinking along a corridor that people can see them and drive by? These can be tucked away more in a neighborhood because they're professional. Is that what I'm
I'm thinking more
understanding?
professional service, yeah, because when you talk about the impact of parking and the occupancies, you're talking very low numbers compared to, you know, when you scroll up again, you see the difference in parking lot makes a lot to me. These are just pull off. We're sitting right now.
Retail brings in more business.
But yeah, retail is gonna need, you know, 20 parking spots for a retail establishment. Professional services, you need 2 or 3, you know, how many people are sitting in front of the dentist office, you know, behind HEB? How many people are sitting in the insurance office?
What about that big empty lot across the street on Wall Street from your store?
That lot right there, yeah, I mean, I could see that turning into something, I mean, that might, could go somewhere more like, where I'm retail, I have 8 parking spots for my business.
Yeah.
So you could stick something there, I mean, that's right off of Cedar in
Yeah.
Austin, so
Yeah.
it fits into 13, 14,
Yeah.
just fine. But again, that's Austin Street, you know, Austin Street's got plenty of that. Some of the older buildings have pull-in parking, like, Milk Donut Palace, the mattress store, a lot of those have like pull up, pull out, reverse.
but there's also room for plenty of big,
So do y'all want to mark them on your maps? Like I know we just talked about it, but do y'all want to mark which one you think are the highest use, like which category on the land use map is best for 13 and which one is the best for 14?
Kind of like identifying them by street,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
squaring off blocks, I think it's
Okay.
really on corridors,
Okay.
to me. I don't know if you guys have to, you know.
makes sense to,
I think it's very good street access.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So 15, now we're combining. But you were onto something. So 15, you were like, no, I guess mixed use. So we get to 15, same question. So instead of residential for the ones on top, do they actually become mixed use where you have like more of a restaurant or more of like a CPA office or something at the bottom, and then you have living quarters on top? It can be both,
Mhm.
but it can also be separate.
I would
And
like to
so,
note that 4 of your 5 pictures contain Main Street in the picture. So I think that's kind of where we get into our only
Yeah.
mixed use upper, lower areas in town are the old commercial downtown. I mean, those are all what we would consider in our old town
Yeah,
plan.
the
in our
building-
Main
the
Street.
building
And
being
those
right,
already have.
these,
Exactly.
these
You know,
two
like
buildings right
CCs
here
on the side of the building, there's-
are currently zoned residential up top, commercial on the bottom. I used to own this building, so.
Yeah.
okay.
And I
So
can
we
see a lot
like,
of those.
we like this or we don't like
so
this?
it's
Like,
mixed
it's like-
use. I
I
like
think
it.
that's the character of that old town that
Yeah.
we've all agreed on is the multi-use, multi-level. I don't necessarily want to get that spread out throughout town. I think that's a really good Main Street, maybe a little bit broaching towards either side of.
Or at least the downtown.
But I think that's the downtown
District.
corridor. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the cute nature of that. We've got a couple of those ideas here on the waterfront. I mean, there's like this restaurant and house next door. There's been some people that have talked about a couple of those buildings up and down the waterfront. But again, I think those are gonna be on that little T corridor between Commerce and Main.
Isn't there a resident by himself?
Legally, no. Legally, no, because he has an open cell alcohol license. TABC made him leave, so he cannot live there. That is no longer his address.
But they did.
Yes. But no, TABC said that's illegal. You have to leave.
Okay, so another question. So looking at these, like take apart what they look like take that, throw that out. Reimagine if that's something that you would want in the waterfront district, like along the water. So do you want a mixed use there? Possibly looking different.
On the harbor.
Yep.
Where warehouses are. you know,
yeah.
that could be reimagined.
City-
I think I can see the harbor moving into that direction.
Would it look different than this or would it look similar? Would you carry the same character along the waterfront district or would it be different?
I can see it being a little more, a little less brick facade. a little
Yeah,
more
not
modern,
as
more-
antique.
A little more lofty, you know, not necessarily high rise, but two or three residential stuff on top of a commercial establishment. I can see that kind of thing going in and around the waterfront.
So it's illegal to have a restaurant that serves alcohol and then residential on top of that?
The problem with Scully's is that it is not delineated into multiple addresses.
Oh.
So he was living and renting and working. I think they sorted all that out. Don't hold me to that today. I know I'm being recorded for it. But there was an issue there with the TABC inspection came in, they're like, you can't live in
The same,
a bar.
yeah.
You can't live in a bar. You can make a joke about living in a bar, but you have to lock up, and he can't have access to the bar through his home. Okay, so I think it just became an issue.
So what about this one? Is this too far? Is this
That
too
right
far? So a commercial and urban, again, mixed, we're talking about mixed, right? A mixed building. So again, residential, commercial, all thrown together. Is this too far? Is it too urban? Is it too much?
That reminds me of
Yeah.
Sugarland.
Sugarland, and I like Sugarland.
What do y'all think though? Is it too city-like? Is it, when you look at it, what are your thoughts?
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
So. She's asking if this is. one-
It's a gathering place. Like you could put an outdoor parking, you could bring in, I don't know,
Gather
maybe
with
it's.
it. No, we had looked at something like that for the-
We talked about having a little park behind Main
Okay.
Street that you could gather and drive up, and
Yeah.
there's maybe a couple of areas that can be done, but I don't know. if
I like that on
necessary.
Virginia thing. This was.
That for the Virginian main corner. If we could acquire some land for that,
Yeah.
cool. but I don't-
We just need $700,000.
Yeah, but again, so remember, but keep in your minds that when you've got developers coming, you have a comprehensive plan. Having images of what you think would be helpful is good, because what they don't want to do, right? Like if you're like, I don't know, working with a residential developer or a mixed use developer or like a specific commercial, you like having pictures that give them an idea of what you're looking for. So what I see with this is on the bottom right, I see gathering spaces. So like essentially people live in a place, right? Whether it's whether you've got like the businesses at the bottom and kind of like residential on top, you think gathering spaces are good. So adding like a park or something that you can do events, which I've heard a lot of the EDC side kind of talk about some of that, right? The left is like essentially what we're looking at is parking. So we're begging the question about parking, sort of. And then we're also on top, we're saying like how high. So I'm asking like, what are your, when you look at this, how are you reacting? Are you cringing? Like, I don't like it at all? Or, hey, maybe on this part of town, or.
I don't love
I don't-
3 stories.
Yeah,
I think 3-story buildings and up really kills the character of the greenery. We don't have a lot of tall trees. We're kind of windswept. I kind of like the 2-story-ish being the max. Maybe there's a few places for 3, but again, we all kind of balked at high rises earlier for a reason. They stick out a little.
But what does high res mean? More than 3 stories? That's what you're saying?
Kind of more than 3, yeah. That's what I think we start getting into, like, there's very few places that I would be comfortable with 3, 4, 5. Gathering spaces, I think that was a good point. You know, Derek, there's lots of little empty spots
I like
around
the
Main
gathering
Street
spaces.
or
Yeah.
underutilized spaces around Main Street, empty lots, abandoned houses, a couple places that might need to be demoed, but there's enough space, I think, if we got together and made a comprehensive plan for Main Street,
Yeah.
there'd be room where we could have a couple different gatherings and parties. I've seen weddings down in Bay Bower. I've seen people get
That's
together
what I
at
think.
the, yeah. Well, and then I've seen space, people gather at the old, train depot for stuff. I mean, you can get little gatherings together. Yeah, and I think if we utilize some of those. and we
Top
plan
right
for
is
those,
too sterile. Right, top
Yeah,
right is-
top right's a little empty. Bottom left's a little trafficy. Top left's a little high.
Okay. That's good to know. So I guess the answer is yes, it's too urban, it's too tall.
Urban,
It's
it's
too-
too
okay,
tall.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, and now I'm testing another theory. I'm not sure, right?
I like this.
So what are your thoughts on this? So I want to point out a couple features. So Fish Tales, of course, is in Galveston. I'm not sure if y'all been to Galveston, but it's in Galveston. The one on the right, notice how there's open water, right? It looks like there's possibly like a little bit of a boardwalk or something to walk around. The one on the bottom right also kind of has that. And of course, this begs that there's food within walking distance to maybe like some livable areas. So I'm asking a lot of questions. And of course, you can't even like access the water. So it's more of an area that's kind of protected, right? And then when you look at the bottom left, once again about gathering space. So is this gathering to y'all that it's tables that people can, I don't know, listen to live music, like, so I'm kind of asking, what do you think about this vibe?
Yeah, we've got a lot of little bits of elements of those already started. I mean, we've just out front, we've got all this, concrete boardwalk area opening up near all these commercial areas on Main. Again, that's the end of Main Street into the Bayfront that we all talked about at the beginning of the meeting, where we all love the Bayfront. It's expanded use. There's more parking. There's more different areas to utilize. More structures down there that are getting done, lighting, everything else. I think what would be cool is if we could get some of that over closer to the docks and the harbors, that's where we kind of miss it, where, Scully's is gonna move when they build their new building. There's all that empty land. There's some old houses that are getting to the point where they need to be remodeled, sold, or destroyed. Can we expand the Bayfront even more with our new boardwalk and with our new, how much of that can we actually grip? But again, I think the good point about gathering spaces, I think that's a good point.
Main Street.
Right
there where Green Iguana and all.
Exactly, and we have like Iguana Fest. We do a lot of our
Yeah.
city stuff right here on a blocked off Main Street now, which is really cool. I think if we can grow that out a couple of blocks and depth a couple of blocks, we have a really nice downtown structure.
Yeah.
I think picnic tables and stuff like that are great.
The live music would be great.
Okay, so where?
Where?
Like it on the water, like you
And the bayfront.
The bayfront on the water.
So the whole Bayfront district, is there a specific focal point that are like this side,
I think you
the
start,
city side? What
I
is
think you
it?
start right there at our intersection. At Main and Commerce, because there's that empty
That
chunk of
empty,
concrete
yeah.
there. There's
Yeah,
the
right on the
whole
corner.
city property,
Right there.
the wetlands, the boardwalk. We've already started investing in that. I think we doubled down. And again, we grow out from that intersection. And it'll start to incorporate Main Street up to Virginia. It'll start to incorporate more commerce where we have a lot of empty spaces right now. But I think if you really focus on this intersection and push those boundaries from there, that's where we really find usable space first.
Okay.
So like a fishtails right here. That's
Yeah.
what-
Well, a little farther down, maybe, yeah. I mean, what is Scully's gonna turn into? What is the green space by Scully's gonna turn into? What's the fish?
It would be cool if Scully's turned into, where you can access it by boat.
Yeah, that would be
Wonderful.
cool.
That would be
And those-
really cool.
That would be
Yeah.
really nice.
And that's what they're trying to do right
That
here,
boat.
is have this boat
This
access
right
where you can walk up to
Cool.
this. Yeah. So, I mean, you've got a
This would
miniature
be
version
cool,
of that
too.
right here, not even a block away from where I'm talking about starting. If you
Yeah.
could get it to work here, you could get it to work there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they're looking at doing that with Scully because, just Park and Wildlife and, Howard Patrol, the state. That's what they do right now, is they'll pull up on their boats and get out and go eat at Scully's. So he's wanting to provide something similar for people and.
And they're talking about not having to walk, like you couldn't walk off the Scullies into the water. They're talking about having that kind of fenced off,
Yeah.
but they'd have a dockside access.
Yeah.
So it protects the natural landscape, but still gives you access.
We're talking about the Scullies that's there now.
We're talking about the new one. they're building.
Oh, the new one.
Where is the new one?
I could show you, it's off of,
Yeah,
it's off of Broadway.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go down Broadway, you got the Weaver store on the right.
Mhm.
And RV park, it's gonna be that next empty property, but it's gonna be back by the water.
Can y'all mark it on the map for us? That would be
Yeah,
so
that would be
helpful. Yeah,
When you walk with a.
What?
What?
oh, yeah.
thank you.
Done.
Okay, perfect. So 18 and 19, again, I think I'm kind of asking the question. So 18 is public institutional and 19 is parks and open space. Usually what we do in zoning, we don't want to prevent public and institutional like throughout all the land use district. It's just a thing. You don't want to say there can never be like school, or it's just a topic that's like off discuss. It's sort of kind of a no-no unless there's a specific reason. So public institutional right here, of course, like city buildings, like any of these things, churches is something you have to stay away from in general because it is First Amendment. So usually I stay away from it to keep the city out of trouble, right? But I was curious. So and what we do is we usually just mark them as like they're allowed, right? They're an allowed use, public institutional, and you just let them go, right? I wanted to see if there was any reason or any specific sites we need to identify in the future for like say, policing facilities or fire or anything that we might not know about. We haven't really had a discussion about that, but, and actually it might be something that, you and I need to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, the city owns land on Austin Street next to the existing fire station that was purchased for an expanded fire station at some point.
Okay. Are there any in the, like around the city limits or ETJ areas that we need to identify for development?
I would talk to the county emergency services on that because we do have an overlap in city and county
Yeah.
options. So I would see what they have planned, is that they have an expansion of the EMS station, or they own land for the, like the rodeo arena, or they're planning on putting in a little medical station there, or, is there gonna be an emergency hurricane shelter like they talked about before? I would probably just keep with them. Yeah, see if we're gonna get a FEMA dome somewhere. Cause that came up. We were slated for a FEMA dome. We haven't yet. So is there a secondary emergency service access point that they're expecting based on city growth and county growth? I don't know that.
Okay.
I know
And
like the dispatch centers.
Right now, the master parks.
Is there anything else like that?
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw.
Yes, I didn't see that. Okay.
And I gave that to Aaron and Bot, but I'll send it to y'all.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We just usually allow them, like, if we have expansions, it's just something that.
Yeah.
We want parks everywhere,
Yeah.
and so it's not something you want to prevent.
Right.
I
Okay.
think, I know it's kind of off topic, but because you mentioned about churches, I think that those would need to be required a specific use permit.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well, if there
You
is-
mean for traffic, like traffic and.
Traffic and parking and stuff, or getting back full, you know. And then there's also the consideration of like, if somebody wants to open a church near our business district, that's fine, but it could potentially try to retroactively impact on a bunch of liquor licenses. So they would have to be opening that with the understanding that they would be exempting a bunch of liquor licenses in that area. Somebody opened a church right next to my store, I have to report that on my next TABC application. But if somebody tried to open a store next to a church, they wouldn't be allowed to.
Yeah, it wouldn't be just that. I'm thinking like mortuaries,
Yeah. Funeral homes.
veterinary places, you know, there's, I can get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about some else too. Okay, so I think we had a reaction last time about these two. But it sounds like we've kind of landed. So heavy industrial, from what I understand. So the thing about zoning and in general future land use, you have to be super careful when you say no to anything, right? And so in general, you usually identify if this is going in, where would it go? So again, highest and best use where. One of the things that we had definitely talked to the public works director about was that the use of like water and sewer and where does that sort of work, in that he wants to serve the city first. And so it's one of the areas that we identified on kind of on the north side, was that if we are doing, you know, land uses that are heavy industrial, we need to be super specific where, or just keep what we have. So from what we've understood, some of the areas that we're looking to keep are already there, right? So you've got an airport, we've got some purple properties, but we're not necessarily trying to expand that. So we're allowing the category where it exists, but they were also kind of limiting the sort of lighter industrial where, you know, you're expecting a lot of trucks and stuff kind of on the north side of town. Because those are probably areas that we could actually add like extra roads and things. And so we need to be thinking about facilities. So we kind of built those that way. I wanted to make sure that's the thought process. So in your mind, if a Amazon building comes, would it go in the light purple areas we've identified? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Not I wouldn't say the one by 6 miles.
see this, so this is the conversation that we have. This is the conversation that we have at the planning board. Because I had this exact same initial gut reaction. I said, no way.
There's a reason.
But yeah, after thinking about it, I mean, and again, we're not pushing anything, but again, as she said, if we want it, where would it go? And so to somebody had said tonight that we want to reserve along the water for high-end residential or something. We don't want to develop up to the water. But that the point they were trying to make is that that Smith Road could be extended somehow and have, you know, a bigger road that would end up coming all the way out here. And along that road, you could have some like a FedEx distribution center or something like that. And that would keep that out here, but still have, you know, the whole thing's not purple, but keep some of this for residential that way. But
we have a future drainage project going.
that would be right down here.
I guess my
Which
first option, Jody,
which would work along that road.
if we're gonna get an Amazon, I would say put it back there by Rex Code, which is, you know, the main roads coming into town. You got 35 going to Corpus, 87 going to Victoria. That's probably where they want to go anyway.
I agree.
It's an option. I think, well, so one of the comments that was made in planning was prevailing winds. Typically would be bringing things through town if you put it too low.
Yeah, if it was
over
down
towards
here, it
Chapter
would
5,
come.
Prevailing winds would carry all that truck smoke through town. Whereas if you had it up above, or even, I mean, not even necessarily the water, but if you moved it down toward Rosenbaum, even behind the school area and all that, it would carry out all the typically most of the year you would carry outward any kind of pollution or smoke or noise or anything like that. Whereas if you put it too
I
low.
think it's gonna be that much, so it's gonna smog out the city.
No, but an Amazon truck warehouse would possibly bring in extra noise and.
We've got 18-wheelers up and down 35 all the time.
So let's put these pieces together. So from what I heard you say today, it sounds like this is your waterfront district. right?
Uh-huh.
Which has definitely, you want retail, you want like kind of higher end things, right? And then commercial, it sounds like it's along certain roadways, right? So you identified 35. You identified like, certain areas of Main Street in Virginia. There were some like very specific. So where should the highest, industrial requires the highest amount of trucks? Where would y'all put that in relationship to the city in terms of what roads are already here?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to impact your 35 traffic coming through town at all. And if you put an Amazon warehouse behind Buc-ee's, they're going to want to run 35 through town.
So let's also remember that 35 is not owned by the city.
Right.
So if you're putting trucks on another road, what are your thoughts on that? So in other words, if we put it on Virginia and it's a city street, it's a bigger impact than if it's a 35 road and it's like more of a DOT road. And so does that affect the location of the industrial building?
Yeah, because if we did this, I mean, that would be a city road. That would not be tech.
Right. Well, and usually if they're going to build something like that, if there would be a partnership or they would build it because again,
Right.
they've got to have their trucks in. And so you would build to a higher standard. So it would require.
It'd be going out for every line for that. Maybe the west side, maybe past the city or, where we got the waiting line, the top right, out there by Tessinger.
Okay.
Crossroads, is that what it's called? Yeah.
Crossroads.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and again-
They have access to.
So, but that was the question we were talking about. If we wanted it in city limits,
In
what would it be?
city.
Maybe the answer is we don't want it in city limits. That might be the answer. Yeah.
When you take that FedEx truck.
Well, let's talk
Yeah.
about taxes.
Exactly.
So commercial retail, right? When you look around the community and there are like buildings that you want to see turn, is that a use that would come? And would it offset your tax base? So would it be something that you want to set aside? Now, one thing that I would caution, and we can go tomorrow about this, but I would ask you, are we sure that we want to put high-end residential here that doesn't face the plants?
Mhm.
So I would ask you, are you sure? Or do we want it here? Is this highest and best use? And so I would actually ask that question, are we sure? And the answer might be yes, but I don't know of a lot of high-end plants or high-end, residential that would want to
One of
locate
the
on a site like
options
that.
for industrial on the waterfront was they would have waterfront access if they did end up using some sort of a higher industrial use, they could actually have ships. And that might be taking it from light to
Okay.
medium residents or light to higher residents. But if somebody put something out there with like a tank or a pipeline, they want water access.
Well, you're not gonna get any real water access north of
Well,
the
they'd have.
causeway.
You never know. That's about different, real large. But anyway, I mean, you could come down from that, but again, how many times have we sat in here going, damn, I wish I had a penny of Formosa tax from county's pocket?
Right.
How many times have we looked at the county and gone, why, they got all this industrial money and Port Lavaca's scrounging our tax base. And if we could put in a truck warehouse.
We're getting all the money and we're getting all.
And we're getting all the wastewater, and we're getting all the traffic through town, everybody goes to Victoria, boo us tax base. I've sat through a lot of those meetings in budgetary times. If we could get a warehouse on the edge of our taxing jurisdiction that doesn't impact our actual traffic for our city residents, it'd almost be like we're stealing tax money from a nearby town.
So you're assuming that everything's gonna go to Victoria?
I mean, there'd be a significant amount I would expect to go through
Well,
Victoria.
they come down and come, if they're going like towards Port Comfort, and they come out by the causeway instead of going all the way through town.
Yeah, they wouldn't impact, traffic down.
What about that open space behind the post office, that big open space back there?
Well, that's all what we'd hope for, be more commercial than industrial. We
I
wanna
like
go
that.
farther.
That would be commercial.
That to me, residential part.
So that's, we identified that as non-grass area on that halfway Independence. And then we had some apartments back there on Independence. I wouldn't necessarily want to put an industrial trucking warehouse right across from the school.
Right there.
Oh, well, it would have to be right next to the school.
Well, and let's also, okay, so from a public works perspective, what we're trying to do is separate our water sources. So also from a public drinking water perspective. So for example, if we had a Formosa come here, we would not mix that with our water, right? We would want it to be a separate site. And so when you look at how hard it would be for us to pump probably our infrastructure all the way out there, it's not the best. It might not be the best line for residential to come in and be located.
And I think along those same lines, the other thing that I start thinking about is we have a lot of available place to develop closer to town than all that purple, right? We want to develop that first. I'm not gonna still be alive, I don't think, when we're ready to be developing out there. I may be wrong. If something huge comes in and this whole place completely explodes, you know, this is just a plan. We'll regroup if that happens.
Right.
But I think, you know, all our residential stuff, we're gonna want to keep it, you know, closer into here. We got a lot of land there to develop before we start looking out here. And so it's a 10-year plan. What's it gonna hurt? I mean, again, unless we just don't want it at all to identify a spot, we'd be, you know, maybe entertain it out here with the plans of some kind of a road to bring it out and develop light industrial along that road. I'm just saying, just.
It won't
to
show
kind of-
industrial on the zoning map though. It's just a future land use.
Yeah, this is the highest and best use of the property,
We
right?
have to annex.
Huh?
We would have to annex that property.
We own it. No, this is the city limits
That's
out
city
here.
limits.
This is all in the city
Some of
limits.
it's top quad, but it's also the furthest away from the treatment plant. So
Yeah.
there was some thought on it, is that it really is the furthest. And at the end of the day, what I hear you say, and I don't know if I'm getting this right yet, but the waterfront district is where we're trying to focus our, like, you know, higher end, like, purchases, if you will, and then possibly into the downtown. That's where we're really trying to funnel the dollars. So I don't see us trying to go out here and trying to turn a development like that.
I
Like,
think
it's just on a map.
I think you infill south of 35 is gonna be our biggest challenge. We've got a lot of empty, underused, you know, dilapidated. I think everything south of 35 is gonna be infill, and that's gonna take us 25, 30 years. And I think everything up in there is, you know, we view that as, you know, heading out towards 6 Mile, it's all empty land, nobody really has a whole lot there. You know, yeah, there could be a huge little waterfront rich folk development up there, but it's industrial owned now. I don't see it being broken up into a developer.
Well, not all of it.
Well,
Not all, about a third of it is,
but I see a lot of that just going industry to industry at some point, 20, 30, 40 years from now. So again, planning to have sewer, water, electricity infrastructure up there is we'll talk about a highway to nowhere.
There's a lot of open land over there to one side of VFW also.
I'd rather see us do redfish before we put anything all the way up there. So, and again, this is all kind of, we're kind of getting in the weeds, this is kind of the.
This is a tomorrow conversation. It's tomorrow.
I'm about to walk out anyway, because it's past 8:30, it's past 8 o'clock.
It is. It is, but I think y'all verified a lot today. So this is a conversation we'll have tomorrow. So that's why I left with it, was that I was thinking like, this is a good one to make y'all think about. Is it coming back? It's coming back, like,
I ain't coming tomorrow.
Some more food tomorrow, yeah. We didn't know it was gonna be so calorie intensive,
right? I know, I didn't know that we were gonna.
That is so much. All right.
It's good.
That's nice.
I'll tell you what,